It is August 11th, 2025, and tonight we are going to talk about exorcisms. This is Inverted World Live. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. This is Inverted World Live, and I am your host, Shane Cashman. We are glad you are here. Of course, the phone lines will be open. We'll get to phone calls around 10:40, 10:45 tonight. We do have a guest. We're going to talk to them in just a bit. But if you have a strange story you want to tell us, something unexplained, if you have an encounter with who knows, cryptids. We've had Bigfoot encounters calling. We've had a lady or a person calling about a lady who had a Bigfoot in California. We've had military abduction stories, missing time stories, sleep paralysis stories, you name it. We want to hear about it. So we will get to you guys in about 40 or so minutes. Of course, I am joined by Brandon.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Shane? Welcome back for another weird-ass week. And I'm going to correct Shane. We actually have two guests tonight.
That's right.
We have one remote, and hanging out in the studio with us tonight is Mary Morgan. What is up?
Yeah, you forgot about little old me. Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Morgan, and you can usually find me on Pop Culture Crisis downstairs in this building.
Right. That's right. I was going to give her a grand introduction.
This is long overdue. I love watching you do your little thing.
Thank you.
That you do.
Hey, I learned how to do this on Pop Culture Crisis.
I'm so excited.
Loved doing your show. It's been a long time since I've been on. I was just telling people that last week because I have 3 kids now and a late show, and my days just disappear. But it has been it's like a year.
No, I get it. You're just a big timer.
No, you know, I got kicked off TikTok because of Pop Culture Crisis.
Seriously?
Because one of the times
this is ancient history. I must.
It is. It's just pop culture lore. I talked about fake clouds on Pop Culture Crisis. I clipped it. I put it on TikTok. Boom, banned. And I was like, man, I hate this place.
Well, we got banned too.
You did, yeah. Maybe it's a you thing, and they just didn't like that I was even on your show.
Wow.
What's up with that?
Wow.
So canceled.
Why'd you get banned?
It was actually my fault because the Mean Girls reboot came out, and I was going on about how they made it all fat and gay and lame.
Okay, so you told the truth, and they didn't like it.
And that was the truth.
That's unbelievable.
And they couldn't handle that.
Unbelievable.
So.
Well, screw you, TikTok. Here we are, and we're having fun.
I'm sorry.
No, do it. I told you to do that.
But what's funny is that like everyone calls me Ghost Girl, and they do kind of associate me with
it's
this.
happening in chat as we speak. I'm seeing Ghost Girl everywhere.
They associate me with this like Halloween, like spooky whatever thing. Like that's my brand or something.
Yeah.
Have you seen your Slack profile picture? Your eyes are literally laser beams.
That's from the Times Square billboard, and that was funny back then. It's played out. It's not funny anymore.
That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That was wild.
That was like 10 years ago.
So you're not a ghost girl?
I just think it's funny because people think that I'm into like Tim Burton or like I like do like tarot decks or like I'm like some kind of like witchy woo woo whatever.
Oh, couldn't be further from
that.
The
is not true. I don't even like care about Halloween or like Halloween movies or spooky whatever.
You didn't do Halloween as a
millennial shit like that,
right?
No, I did. My mother begrudgingly allowed me to trick or treat, but very begrudgingly, and like around our, evangelical neighbors and my schoolmates, like it was very frowned upon. Like you had to do trunk or treat or nothing. Trunk or treat sucks. Just telling everybody who's watching now, trunk or treat is lame. No one likes trunk or treat. Let your kids go around the neighborhood. Watch them if you have to, if you're that paranoid about what's going to happen to them. And I had my candy checked, whatever. But what my point is like people think that I'm into all of this stuff.
Let's settle that now.
And we'll settle that now?
Yeah.
I don't like watch Tim Burton movies. Okay. I'm not into like spoopy whatever, like skeletons, I don't strictly believe in ghosts, honestly.
What do you think they are? Or what do you think is there a phenomenon that you believe in when it comes to ghosts and people seeing it?
I have I think I have the answer to everything, honestly.
Well, that's why we brought you
here. My answer to the ghost question is there are maybe a few scenarios. So, I mean, obviously some people imagine things, but that's like a minority of cases. The other situations are demons impersonating past loved ones, and also I believe souls in purgatory. Because I'm Catholic, I believe souls in purgatory can, in some very limited ways, communicate with their earthly loved ones in a way to request prayers for their release from purgatory.
That's fair. So let's rebrand you tonight. You're not into ghosts. You're into the Holy Ghost.
Yes.
And that's it. And that's, I think, the best ghost, the only ghost.
Period. Shane.
We got you.
See, for me, that might be the only ghost I don't believe in.
I know. This is the thing in the room here. I'm slowly radicalizing.
I'm a Catholic, so everyone's going to learn about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
that's
I
going to
love
come
it.
up.
Well, here, I want to ask her. I want to do this just real or fake. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to say a thing, and you just reply with real or fake. There's only 3 of them, so we're not going to
This is
grill
so
you.
easy. I love saying that everything's fake.
It's very simple,
Okay.
and these are things that I know Shane wants to know too.
Yes.
So, first, real or fake? Dinosaurs.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Okay, we got one fake.
I'm just going with my gut. I'm
Yeah,
going with my
as
gut.
you should.
I'm not saying I know, but I think it's
Preach.
Dinosaurs fake, says Mary Morgan. Okay, next one. The moon.
real.
Okay.
Goodness
We
gracious.
agree. All right.
Goodness gracious.
50
She's gotta
50
leave.
split
She's
here.
got to
50.
go.
So here's the here's the tiebreaker right here. Here's the tiebreaker. I know Shane's gonna love this one. Real or fake? Clouds.
Part real, part fake.
Shane just sat up
no,
in his
that's
fucking
great.
seat.
Perfect answer.
Am I right?
No, that's perfect. Some
Was
are
I
real,
right?
some are fake.
No,
That's
that
great.
is- that was a
You
trick
distilled
question.
the essence of
Oh.
fake clouds.
That was
Well
a trick
done.
question.
That was
So-
a
and I-
trick because
I passed.
we all know that they are real
Yeah.
and fake, right?
That's right.
Except
Just
for
like
Shane
birds.
thinks they're 100% fake.
Well, I think there were vintage clouds that God made, and those have been turned fake, mutilated by a lot of issues on this planet, such as
Well-
forever chemicals and atom bombs. But you might not even believe in atom bombs if you're watching this show.
I think some of them currently are.
You think
real.
clouds are currently identifying differently than they were back in the day?
They look it.
Like they have
There's some
pronouns and
clouds
shit
that are
now?
trying to pass as real clouds. I know they're not.
Okay.
And I misgender them all the time. But she answered well. We can get back into the moon later because it's
I
okay
want
to
to
say
do
the moon's
more.
real.
I want to do more
Yeah.
real or fake.
Let's-
This feels like
We're
the
gonna take
Tonight
down.
Show.
We
but
should.
better.
That's a very big compliment. But we
Tonight
will.
Show, but good.
We will. Yeah, we will
But not
check in
canceled,
with the
yeah.
chat after our guesses. I know they have a lot of questions. I'm sure for you. So if you guys have questions, maybe we'll keep an eye on those for Mary, real or fake.
do my best.
Yeah, I love that. And but in the meantime, we should get to our guest who will be joining us remotely. We have author of The Blue Lady, My Personal Encounter with Dark Angels, Demons, and Spiritual Warfare, Rick Hansen. Let's bring on Rick, and we're going to talk to him about exorcisms. And Mary, you are free to ask any questions and all questions
fix this
at any point. Rick, can you hear us?
Yep, all good.
Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, we are great. It is 10 o'clock, just past 10 o'clock here in the panhandle of West Virginia. It is dark outside. We've been talking about if we believe in ghosts or not. I believe in demons. I think they're everywhere. What do you think about demons?
From my experience, I know they're everywhere. From what I've seen, what I've experienced, whether it's, are we just going to go straight into it?
Let's just go straight into it. Just tell us about demons.
Yeah,
And then we'll go back. We'll go back in time.
Okay. So we'll tell this backstory later, but yeah, I've seen them with my eyes, and I've seen them ripped from people's souls through multiple exorcisms. So I've seen pretty gnarly stuff that's mind bending, I guess you could say, and startling. But because of my background and growing up with my dad, who, and we can tell that story whenever you're ready, was a Christian, got into Satanism, got out of Satanism, back into Christianity, and then for probably 4 decades of my life has been exorcising thousands of people, spirits that have been in a lot of people. And so I saw growing up what a lot of people just see in movies. They see it in the theater and walk away from it and kind of wash the grease from the popcorn off their hand and forget about it and get scared. But for me, that was a daily occurrence, I guess you could say.
I do want to do the backstory, but while we're talking about demons, demon identification, is someone who's possessed, is there like a degree to which you can tell, like on the street, that person is possessed, or are some better at hiding?
Yes, it's true. Some you can Some it's pretty obvious. Most it's pretty hidden. And the whole tactic is to keep the spirit's tactic is to keep them from being seen and known. So they don't manifest unless they feel they have to, unless they're threatened. For example, in an exorcism. But generally speaking, especially in North America, that idea of demons and manifestations is scoffed at, and so they hide behind the intellectualism, I guess you could say, of the facade. They'd rather stay hidden, and they'd rather be a figment, an idea, than actually real.
Yeah.
So that's where it's hidden.
Yeah, some using words like evil and demons is something that's still fairly new to me.
Yep.
I was only saved by Christ about two years ago now, in the summer, in the Shenandoah River of West Virginia. It was a wonderful day. But having really started to reread the Bible and take it very seriously this time, I start to see that life does just boil down to something as simple and powerful as good and evil. And then people tell me they don't see demons in the world because they think all demons are something that looks scary, like from a movie. But like you're saying, I think they hide amongst us, and they hide amongst us pretty well at every level in every institution across the world.
100% agree. Again, there's a lot to unpack there, but again, I've seen it from a personal level. That's where that's been my experience. That's what I've come to see and believe is true as they're coming out of people specifically. That's where I've seen a lot of them, hundreds. My dad has seen and performed. He's in his 80s. He still does. So he's seen and performed thousands. And again, some are crazy, some are radical, some are Hollywood type, freak you out, and some are more mellow.
So let's go back in time and how this started with your father. How does he get into this world?
Yep. So he was born and raised in a Midwest Baptist family, so very much immersed in the church. He's part of a pretty big Baptist church. Back there, his dad was on the board. He was an elder, taught Sunday school, big family, 5 other siblings, kind of not typical, but, in the Midwest, large families going to church. Baptist specifically was pretty normal. So he's very involved, had a genuine conversion as a young person. He remembers it distinctly, asking God into his heart, feeling the peace, feeling the change. But he was always fascinated with the supernatural, something else. And this is, one of the points I want to hammer home. The spirits are really good at a drip campaign. They don't make it obvious right away. They slowly move in and take over with the doors that you open and the things that you do and how you let them in. So it started young for him specifically, and everyone is different. It happened with his fascination with supernatural.
Real quick, can I stop right there? Got involved. I'll come right back to that.
Yep.
That reminds me of the books by C.S. Lewis, The Screw Tape Letters. Are you guys familiar with that, Mary or Rick? Do you know about that book?
It's a great book. Yeah.
But it's about demons talking to one another, and it's about what you just said, the slow drip of temptation and these evil urges to get them to sin, to confiscate their souls. So it's a great book if anyone out there is interested and hasn't read it yet. Lewis is one of the greats.
It's a must read, I would say. It's really good. Again, I'm not saying I know the minds, but it's from a strategy standpoint, how he illustrates it in his stories through the letters. It's a senior demon teaching a junior demon how to manipulate a person.
Yep.
And it's methodical, it's slow, it's thoughtful, and it's never big or grand. For example, one of the examples is the junior demon was just trying to make his pupil irritated with the way this other person tilted her head and used her voice to build the wall between them. It was small moves like that in Screw Tape he kept on trying to emphasize.
Yep.
And that's what happened, for example, with my dad. And that's what we've seen happen with almost every single case. There are sometimes radical moments where things all of a sudden tip the scale, but for the most part, it's a lot of slow buildup. It gets in your head, that gets in your heart, and gets in your mind.
Absolutely. So you were saying your father got involved with the spiritual side of things.
Yeah, he was always fascinated with things like the Ouija board, whether it's tarot cards or Superman, for crying out loud. It's it's that idea of the otherly, something outside of this world that always fascinated him. But all the while, he was very drawn to the Lord, to his faith. Wound up going to a Christian college back in the Midwest, where he met my mom. They're still married, 60 years actually this year.
Incredible.
Married. She was the quintessential Christian, so was he. Much loved football player, sang in the choir, wrestler, very gregarious, very loving, very warm, very kind. They got married, but all the while he was still intrigued by this idea of what else is out there, what else is going on, which fed into his fascination. And after he got married, let me backtrack a bit. During that time, he went through about 3 big church splits, where the church, from something inside, whether it was a leader or a group of people, there was a split. And so he started to be really disillusioned with God through how he looked at church and man. So as opposed to looking at God only, he would view God through the lens of the behavior of other people. And that fed into his curiosity, and then his cynicism, and then his anger. So that kind of, again, helped talk about the strategy, like it fed into his wonder of like, is there more out there? Is there something better or different?
And you're saying he went from that to Satanism?
Well, I mean, starkly, yes. But so when he was going through that, he got more and more disillusioned with the church specifically and Christians specifically, while he was still going to church. He finally did a comparative religion study of all the religions around the world that he can get his hands on. Read the books, read from Eastern mysticism to Eastern cults to other churches to different types of Christianity, and always found there was a good and there was an evil. And so again, his mind was getting peppered with a lot of questions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of what if, what else is out there. Fast forward to the drama of the event. He got, after that study, he got so disillusioned. He was, again, this is where you guys are going to think I'm weird and the story gets wacky, but it goes even wackier after this. He was at home with my mom. Again, my mom was very devout, and this is really important for the story because she was very centered in her faith, but ultimately had no clue as to what he got into while he was in it, before he got into it, until after it was all done. She was faithful as a wife and faithful in prayer and stood by his side, and she was the pillar ultimately through her prayer life and her faith that enabled him to get out of the darkness that he was in. So backtracking back to the event, he was at home, again, really disillusioned, really frustrated, really upset, and he heard a voice say, I want you to turn on the television. Went to the living room, turned on the TV, and right as the TV started to turn on, there was a satanic worship service on the show. And it was I can't remember the channel, but it was a channel out of Los Angeles, and they were doing documentaries on all the crazy stuff going on in Hollywood, from occults to Satanism to drugs to porn, all that stuff. And I don't know if it was each night or each week, there was a special on that topic. This night he happened to turn on, and there was a satanic worship service led by Anton LaVey, who was then the head of the Satanic Church in San Francisco. And he started watching that service. And because he'd been in church for so long, he was fascinated by kind of the similarities, but he was very skeptical. He's like, this is pretty wacky. This is nuts. This is super dark, but this is really wacky. But he noticed a lot of things that were kind of similar. They had relics on the wall, of course. There was the pentagram, upside down cross. But the service was architected much like a service. There was a preacher, there was worship, there was prayer, and at one point, Anton LaVey stopped his sermon, I guess you could call it, and held up his hands and started to pray. And my dad was so mesmerized by the faith and the power that he'd seen in this guy pray, he was floored. And it reminded him of when he watched Billy Graham, when he was younger, grow up and pray in the Crusades to the Lord. And so he was fascinated by this other side, this darkness. And so if you go back to his early youth and his fascination with the supernatural, his growing skepticism, his frustration with how we started to look at God through the behavior of man, to this, incessant desire to learn more and to know more, all the way to this point in the service. He saw it, and he said, Satan, if you're real, I want you in my life. God, I don't want you anymore. And essentially, he invited Satan into his life at that time.
Wow. And you're alive at this point?
Yeah, I was like 1 or 2, so I was already born.
Okay. And I mean, that is dark.
Very.
Very dark. Mary, do you have any thoughts on Satanism? Do you know like much about Anton LaVey?
We have mentioned him a handful of times on my show because of his daughter, Xena, who basically inherited the priesthood from him.
Yep.
And then renounced it later on.
Yeah, that's right. Did the son, do you know? There's a son as well. He might still be involved with it. But it's dark.
Yeah.
I think it's widespread.
It was mainly because there was a theory that because of her strong resemblance to Taylor Swift and a few different coincidences that I couldn't quite ignore, the theory goes that she secretly is Taylor Swift's mother, but
yeah, I think that's probably true.
we talked about that.
Yeah, I think there's something to it. But Anton LaVey, that's a big deal, and interesting to make that comparison between Billy Graham and Anton LaVey. Some people might say there's not much difference because there's a lot of the megachurch type stuff that's also strange. But you're 1 or 2, and this is happening. And this is coming home to you. Are you raised in that world? Is this something that you're now having to experience as you get older?
So he was deeply involved in Satan worship for roughly 2 years.
Okay.
Like I said, during that time, my mom had no idea of what he was into because he kept the entire thing a secret. But he got really deep into it. As a believer, as a Christian, like the more you dig into scripture, prayer, your faith, the Lord, etc., your faith grows, and God shows you things and helps you see him more through your discipline of study. He did the same thing, but with Satanism.
Wow.
And he would be brought to random places or to meet other Satanists because he never got involved in a like a group, like a coven, because he was so disillusioned by what groups of people did, like at the church. So he wanted nothing to do with large groups. He just wanted to find out if this Satan thing was real. So he dove headlong into it. And as a kid, I don't remember any part of his experience. I just remember all the after that I saw. But he dug into it hard, and he dug into it pretty deep so that he could scratch that itch that he's always had of like, what else is out there? And because Satan works with tangible manifestations, my dad started to get, evidence of what he saw as Satan being real. Whether he could start to read people's minds, he could see or know who was going to be at the front door before they came with what they were going to ask. He knew who was going to be on the phone and what the conversation was going to be. He could start to actually, according to him, control certain people's movements through his mind. So the more in depth he got with his faith in Satan, the more power Satan would give him to keep him wanting more. And as his powers escalated, and as he thought he was getting the peace that he always wanted, that he could never find as a young adult, he started to notice that peace started to turn into chaos, because then they started to control him, and the darkness eventually overwhelmed him. So.
And is that how he starts to leave?
So he was, my mom, like I said, was the anchor. And he knew that in order to really get into the power of Satan, he needed a break with her. Like, they had to end their marriage. She had to go away. So at one of the points of the height of his powers that he was getting, he was in a trance, and he was manifesting a spirit. Because he knew, like my mom was at church, it was a Sunday, he knew that when my mom would come home and see this, she would freak out and say, I'm done, that's it. Because he had turned into a different man. He was obviously not the same man that she married. He was, like I said before, he was super warm and loving to everyone. Everyone loved my dad. But my dad became very angry and bitter and spiteful and vile in himself as a person. And so she didn't know what that was. All that she would do, she never preached at him. She never quoted scripture, but every night she would take the Bible and set it by his bedstand. That's it. And obviously pray. But as this trance was manifesting, as the spirit started to show itself, she called from church and said, hey, I'm going to go out to lunch with my friends. Is that okay? And her phone call broke the trance. And he was furious because he was hoping that was going to be the moment that he could get free from this and really delve into the power of Satan. And he took that Bible that my mom always put. Well, first he threw the phone down and cussed for quite some time, damning God, yelling at God, cussing at God, took the Bible, threw it against the wall, and kept on shouting like that in rage and anger. But he always talks about how he was like, the rage that he felt was at Jesus. And that's real important because, as we'll talk later, Jesus is the one who defeated the demons, and they hate that name and they hate who that is. And so that hate that my dad felt were the demons that possessed him, that hated what my mom represented, and that was Jesus.
Wow.
So in the midst of, someone have a question, sorry?
No, I was just saying, wow.
Okay. So in the midst of that rage, the Bible was still, on the ground, pages open, rage filled him. He felt this amazing sense of power and peace enter the room, powerfully. And he knew that it was God. And he said, what do you want, God? And God said, I want you to pick up the word and read it. He picked up the word and he read Psalms for all the way through from start to finish, and then all of the Proverbs from start to finish. And what God did during that time, my dad knew of the Bible and knew the stories, but never delved into them. And I think that's what a lot of, if your listeners are listening, that is where we miss God, because we take other people's words for it. And my dad watched other people, and it just screwed him up. And he took what they did, how they acted, what they were about, what he thought they were about, and he defined God through them. But this is one of the first times where he read in depth, specifically Psalms. And Psalms is so great because it's David being honest with God again and again and again. And so many other psalmists saying, God, I love you, but I don't understand you. God, I need you to help me. Where are you? God, please listen to me. Why aren't you listening to me? But yet I will praise you. And so all of Psalms are these men struggling with their relationship with God, but still honoring him. And he was floored by the fact that it's okay to be upset and be angry and frustrated with God and talk it out with him. But like you learned at the end of every psalm, it would always end with, but yet, God, I will praise you. I'm frustrated with you, but yet I will praise you. So he immediately started to learn where his view was wrong all these years and how that led him astray.
And did the darkness that he was involved in evaporate right there, and he moved into another era of like?
That would be great if that was the case, but once there, he had 12 demons in him, and later that night, when my mom came home, he told her, he met her at the door, and usually when he meets her at the door, he's full of rage and anger, and he met her at the door and said, something changed in me, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what we're going to do, but I need you to pray for me. But something's going to happen tonight. I just don't know what. And she didn't know if he was being sincere or what, and she was kind of skeptical. But being my mom, she's loving and supportive, and like, okay, let's see what this is. When they went to bed that night, and that's when he was laying in bed, and he felt this horrible, horrible pain in his stomach. He said, like knives from the inside that were trying to rip out, like an alien movie. And he was praying. He said, God, I can't take this pain. Either take me home or take the pain. But what do I need to do? And God said, you need to get these demons out of your life that you have let in. And my dad said, how? I don't know how to. What do you do? I've never heard of this. I don't know what to do. And God said, I will lead you. And this sounds weird, but I want you to understand that my dad's relationship with God is very conversational like that, and he's very transparent. Growing up as a young kid one thing that I loved about my dad and love about my dad is that he is always very honest with his faith. If he doesn't know it, he tells me. He's very sincere. If he's upset with something, he tells me. If he's having a bad day, he says so. But he's very honest with his faith, and that's how he deals with God. And this is how he dealt with that moment. Like, God, what do I do? Do I call an exorcist? Do I call what do I need? And he felt at that moment, God said, I am your exorcist. I will walk you through it. And so then he told my dad, you need to name the spirit and call it out. And you need to say, I rebuke you in the name and the blood of Jesus Christ. And that's why I want to go back to what I said about Jesus, because that's the most important part. That is the thing that defeats Satan. When you call on that authority of the cross, our forgiveness of sins, and his victory over death and Satan, they have to obey. Do they leave right away always? I'll give you some stories where no, it takes a little bit longer, but that it took several hours that night. But God ripped the spirits out of my dad one by one, and there were 12 of them. My mom saw it. She was freaking out, of course, but he just said, just keep on praying. Please keep on praying. And he'd say, spirit of fear, I rebuke you in the name of the blood of Jesus Christ. And he said he could literally feel it start in his lower, in his stomach, and it would come out almost like a snake out of a cave, and he'd feel the pain go up his chest, out his throat, and out his mouth, and then leave. And then the next one, and the next one. While they were doing that, their house kept getting colder and colder and colder. So my mom would go and turn up the heat. The more she turned up the heat, the colder the house got. So it was just this radical manifestation of a spiritual battle that was a result of my dad letting in demons to his life. I mean, again, it's what they call a perfect possession. He said, Satan, I want you to come in. For a lot of other people, it's a lot more discreet, it's a lot more stealthy, but his was, God, I want you out. Satan, I want you in. So when those 12 spirits left, they were his 12 controlling demons.
And for those for those listening who know their Bible, this might remind them of the story of Legion.
In Mark, yep.
Right.
Yeah,
There's like
they say
40,
that,
how many demons are inside of, and that make up Legion, but Jesus eradicates them and sends them into pig bodies that fall off a cliff.
the whole herd. Yeah, they say there were thousands of demons in Legion, hence the name. That's how they described the Roman battalion back then. I think a Roman battalion, a legion, had thousands of soldiers in it. So this man was toast.
So before we get into the exorcism part, Mary, I was looking earlier just on IRL actually. The Catholic Church says they do 3 exorcisms a day. You aware of that?
No, I didn't know there was a statistic on that.
Yeah. You can. I mean, hopefully we can trust them. But they're still, because they were saying, I forget, it was a Lod saying he didn't really know if exorcisms were a thing. We looked it up, and the Catholic Church, I knew they did do it quite a bit, and they were involved, I believe, with the movie The Exorcist, or maybe the guy who directed it went and did a documentary on real exorcisms after the fact. But yeah, I mean, they're still doing it pretty hardcore. Quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've also heard exorcists talk about the fact that there is an increasing demand for exorcisms, especially in the West. And there are a lot of reasons for that. I think like the commercialization of witchcraft is a huge reason for that.
100%. I totally agree.
So yeah, this is a very like real thing. They also specifically say there's a huge resurgence in demand for exorcisms during and after the pandemic in 2020 specifically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. During something we talk about a lot in this show is during the pandemic, during lockdowns, people were seeing a lot of crazy stuff, that they couldn't explain. It might just be people imagining things out of the fear and insanity of the chaos of lockdowns, but there were all these new reports on UFOs, which I've got lots of theories on UFOs, but I don't think it's extraterrestrials. I think it's Lockheed Martin. But people were seeing a lot of stuff, and I'm not surprised. I think demons were accelerated throughout lockdown. So, Rick, when it comes to your father now, after that insane night, he gets into what is the timeline now for him doing exorcisms? How does that work?
Yeah, so let me back up and tell you one story, which will help answer your question. So I've written a book called The Blue Lady. It's out on Amazon. I think you guys put the link in the below. But he had a guiding demon, and its name was the Blue Lady. And how that came about, he's an artist and a photographer. He was a school teacher for junior high kids for like 40 years. Kids loved him. He was great. I mean, who doesn't love the teacher who does art and photography, right? But so he painted a lot in the garage, and in the middle of his rising experience of Satanism, he felt this urge to go out in the garage and paint. And he told my mom, he said, "Marilyn, I want you to keep Rick out. I want you out. I'm going to go in the garage and I'm going to paint." And he said he put a fresh canvas on his easel, picked up the paints, and he said as soon as he put the brush into the paint onto the canvas, he said something overtook his arm and overtook his hand and overtook his body and painted what he said was the most beautiful painting he had ever done. And he knew that it wasn't him because it just flowed. It just came out. It was one try, one shot. And he was mesmerized by the outcome of the painting, so much so that he took it out of the garage, went back to the bedroom where my mom was, and what he typically liked to do is when he would do a painting, he would take it off the easel and bring it back in their bedroom and hang it on the wall to look at it from a different perspective to see if he liked what he did. But this one, he was so mesmerized by the power he felt in the painting and from the painting that he wanted to see if my mom would react. And specifically the eyes, he said, were the most daunting he'd ever seen or experienced, but he was also mesmerized by their display of power. So he went back to the bedroom, hung on the wall, he turned over to her and he said, "What do you think?" And she looked up at it and she said, "Get that out of my room. It scares the heck out of me." So she was horrified by the painting, just by one look. So he took the painting out, excited that she sensed the power, that she saw the power in the painting, which affirmed that he wasn't just going nuts and he wasn't fantasizing about something that he wanted to happen. It was obviously affecting his wife, who was a believer, who was a Christian. So then he hung it in the hallway, and he wanted it in a place in the house to where, like when people would walk in, they would be forced to look at it. He wanted to see their reaction. And every single time, he said, every single person said, that painting scares the hell out of me. The eyes follow me, they're awful. And so when he was done painting it that night, he had to bow down to it. Oh, you guys lost your light?
What the hell was
We
that?
just had a really weird power surge in the room.
Does that happen?
No, that's never happened.
That's never happened before.
It happens to stuff like this.
It only happened
Trust
on
me.
Mary's side of the room, too. The other half of the room just stayed lit. You guys saw that shit.
Did the chat see that? We've
Yeah.
never had that in this room.
I've never
saw it.
seen it.
Wow.
I've done 40-something episodes with you in here, and I've never seen that happen.
Wow.
And it was only on Mary's side, so I'm blaming her.
It's not my fault.
Mary. No, I used to do this to your studio.
No, it was all that shit she was talking about Tim Burton before the show started. Tim Burton just
Wow.
our power.
And I was just going to say, this sounds like the same reason that Trump moved Obama's portrait to that secret hallway no one goes to.
It's the same reason Cash Patel's photo fell off the wall at Castle when he was elected.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, that's interesting. Back to where we
I
were
feel
at.
like I don't want to move on.
I think we have to. We got to go right on through.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Okay.
So the painting freaked your mother out.
Yep.
And then take it from there. Sorry.
And he had to bow down to it, and he had to kiss it. That was his controlling demon. And he, in that painting, he would run whatever he was going to do that day with his faith. He'd have to run it through the painting, and he would go and talk to the painting about it, and he'd also feel the painting would tell him things. If he was angry at his lack of experience in the faith, he'd walk by it and he was angry and he'd put it in the garage, almost like he's disciplining a kid. So he interacted with the painting as though it was a person, but that was his demon. Fast forward, when he realized stuff was messed up and that he had to get out, and that the painting was controlling him, he knew he had to destroy it. And so this is where what he was doing started to come out. And so he had heard some stories from his church friends, from missionaries, that when they had encounters like this with the spiritual, that they would have to claim the name and the blood of Jesus Christ over this so that they could have the victory in it, like he did with his own exorcism. But this portrait, which he had given a lot of power to, and which in turn that portrait had put a lot of power and investment into his spirit, when he knew he had to destroy that thing, he still didn't quite, he hadn't done the exorcism, but he knew this was a step. And so he called over two of their friends, and then and my mom was there also, and he was going to burn the painting. So he started a fire in their fireplace, and he said, this has been going on, I need to stop. And he threw the painting, and it's oil painting, so those things usually will flare up pretty quick, and it didn't burn. It didn't. There was no shard mark. There was nothing. It wasn't burning. The flames were high. So he pulled a corner of it that wasn't by the fire, pulled it out, and had remembered those missionary stories of how they would pray over things in the name and the blood of Jesus Christ. And so he did that. He said, in the name and the blood of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you, and I don't want you anymore. And so, and this is where it gets really wacky, but there are other people that saw it. He knew he had to cut it up, so he took a razor blade and started to cut the painting. And as he was cutting the painting, the face of the blue lady turned into my mom's face. And the canvas actually started to manifest, sounds weird, tears on the eyes of the painting. He rebuked it in the name and blood of Jesus Christ. He threw it in the fire, and poof, it exploded and burned.
Wow.
Fast forward to his own exorcism in his bed that night. Again, he was a school teacher. A couple days later, again, still reeling from what had happened the last couple years, this experience of these demons being ripped from his soul, this other dimension that he found out was actually as real as all of us in this room here. He was at school, and his students started to feed him without him ever talking about it or asking. They'd feed him, they'd give him books on the tarot cards or on astrology, or they kept on trying to. It was actually the spirits that were trying to feed him and draw him back in. But this one student walked in one day and said, "Hey, I did this thing last night. I painted this painting. It's the most beautiful thing I've done, but it scares me. But I'd love you, if you'd look at it to see what you think." And she showed him the painting. It was almost exactly the same thing he had with the blue lady.
Oh, that's
almost
weird.
Exactly to a T.
What do you think? What do you think that's about?
Well, the spirit transferred, and that spirit went to a student who, again, and it sounds weird, but there were a lot of his students back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that were first, second, third generation witches. Their parents were heavy into that stuff, and so for a lot of the kids, this stuff was in their house. It was a part of what they do. But when he saw that, he realized, that he's got to do something. So he prayed with the student and rebuked the spirit. She was freed and found the Lord, and that was his first time that he started on this trail. And from that point on, again, my dad has never gone to anyone. Everyone has heard about my dad's story and come to him, but from that day on, his story got out through word of mouth, and then hence that's where I remember growing up, where people were coming to our house 3 to 5 times a week, and they were being freed from demons. So in our living room, and sometimes in his office. So that's my whole young experience and young adult life, and now as an adult, was watching people who were just riddled with darkness and the demonic. And you could see it in their eyes. I could always see it in their eyes. They'd knock on the front door, you open the door. Cases were always different. There was never a favorite, but they were, from wealthy to poor to married to divorced to whatever you call it. But people were coming, and they were filled with the darkness. And when they were freed, and when they left, you could see their eyes and their spirit and their bodies lifted into the light and the glory of Jesus. And that always hit me so hard, because I was so, I read the Bible, but to see actually God free a person, have those demons ripped from them into freedom, is what that's what the Bible talks about. That's the freedom. And so I was always mesmerized by that battle and how God fought for us on our behalf. Even if we didn't want him to, he always did.
Can you walk us through what an exorcism looks like? This person shows up, they knock on the door, and then what's an average? I'm sure they're all a little different, but can you walk us through what
Very different.
Average one might look like?
But you could say, there's some similarities. First, we would only talk to people who wanted to be freed. And so it was never someone who brought someone and said, "Hey, this person's messed up." There has to be the person's will that wants the freedom, because he or she is the one whose will allowed those spirits in them. So the fight is useless if they don't want freedom. So often my dad would ask, how can I help you? What do you need? And not every time, but most every time, the person would say, a voice told me to come and see you, and then another voice told me not to come and see you. And he said, well, how come you're here? And they would almost always say, because the voice that told me to come and see you was stronger. And there's something wrong with me, and I don't know how to be free. I think there's something inside of me. I heard someone who knew you, who knew you, who knew you, and I heard you're the guy who deals with demons. Can you talk to me? So sometimes there was a screening on the phone before that. Sometimes there was a screening on our front door stoop. And then, you would bring them in, and usually they'd have someone with them, a friend, a neighbor, family member, whatever. And then the exorcism, we'd sit down, and because my dad had never met these people before, he would go through, I guess you could say, for lack of better terms, like a discovery process. Ask them, what do you want freedom from? What are you struggling with? Talk to me about how you got here, why you got here. And in the person telling the story, you could start to see, like I told you my dad's story, where the demons would start to enter into their lives. And sometimes you could see the actual moment where the demon entered their life. And then
Rick,
we could pray.
Can I pause you right there? So I'm going to pause you right there. We just had a bunch of new people join the show. Thank you for joining us, guys, from IRL. Glad you're here. We are joined by Mary Morgan of Pop Culture Crisis. You guys know Brandon over there. And we have Rick Hansen on talking about exorcisms, his father's path into performing them. And we're just now talking about what the average exorcism looked like. And you were saying that you're now starting, when they come to you, they know something's wrong with them, that there is a demon inside of them, and you are praying over them. And so does Hollywood is it Hollywood like a problem in terms of watering down what an exorcism might look like because everyone thinks of something like The Exorcist, or does that hold some weight in the world that you're used to in terms of like projectile vomiting and stuff like that?
Yeah, that stuff's legit. I mean, that's real. I mean, like like the gnarly Hollywood movies that depict that stuff, they have a fairly good form of accuracy to it, from the projectile vomiting to the bodies completely contort and change. They bend natural laws of physics with the people. They turn into animals. They turn into larger people, smaller people. They'll crawl on the ground. I mean, yeah, it's pretty. I mean, the gnarly ones they're gnarly. It looks like you're in a movie, but again, because that was my normal. Mm-hmm. It's my normal, and so when I talk about it, it's hard because I know for 99.9% of people, that's like I'm crazy, for describing that. But that's how I saw it, and that's how I see it, and it's nuts. I've seen some really crazy ones, and then some ones that were not so.
Right.
I have
Mary,
a question. Why is it that your dad and your mother wanted you to witness these things? Why did they allow you to accompany them when they were doing these exorcisms in the home? Why did they think that was important, or why didn't they mind you watching this happen
It's a great question.
Age?
Yeah, it's very fair, and I get that a lot. Like my mom was hardly ever in the exorcisms because it was a lot for her. She's a prayer warrior. Her faith is rich and deep, but she was in several, but I saw more, and I was with my dad more in it. And I've asked them a few times about that, and all I can say is that what I believe is that God let me see that so that I could talk about it now and help other people see these things. But some have said, that's kind of wacky of your parents to let you see such heavy stuff at such a young age and have it in your home. And yeah, it was, and it was gnarly, and it freaked me out a lot, so much so that for many years, I'm married with 3 girls. I never told them this story because I didn't want them to experience or see the heaviness or be exposed to what I was exposed to. And it was a lot. For me, I feel it's a call, and God showed me to teach me so that I could teach and tell others. And God always protected us, always protected me. Was I afraid? Several times, a bunch? Heck yeah, because it was gnarly. It was really gnarly stuff. But I was also, I will say more so, I was also thrilled to see God in action in real life. It was amazing to see people's lives literally transformed right before my eyes. Whether they were witches, whether they were from a cult, and a cult, whether they were Hollywood stars, whether they were pro athletes, whether they were neighbors, whether they were pastors, seeing people experience, in a physical sense, experience freedom from darkness and being ushered into light. I mean, there's nothing like it. It's scary, but it's also amazing.
I am sorry to press on it if it's sensitive, but I guess
No,
that
no, it's
still
okay.
leaves me confused about your parents' decision. Why did they make that decision? Did they ever explain that to you?
It's again, it's I think they just thought it was because it was so new and unique for them and strange. Again, like I said, it was more my dad than my mom. It was a natural part of our house. And did they sit down and go, let's have a meeting and see if Rick should see this? I don't know. I don't think they did, because all I ever knew was what I saw. But I think because my dad's conversion was so radical and what he saw in the Lord was so powerful, that he felt that as a kid, seeing that would really explode my faith.
And at
That's
what,
all.
were you young when you realized you wanted to do that, or did it take a long time for you to think, like, I want to do what Dad did?
Yeah, I mean, I was always, I never really thought like I want to do that. It just, again, it was such a part of our house. It just, that's what we did all the time. I think later in life was when I went, that was a gnarly time for me. I have 3 girls. How do I even expose them to what I've seen and what I know and what's out there? How do I expose that? Because your question's so fair, and so it's a good question. Sometimes there were times that, more as an adult, not as a kid, where I'd go, man, I wish I didn't know what I know or see what I saw. Life would be, it's not really a cool party trick like, hey, I see dead people. It's not something you talk about, even though it's a part of who I am. So later in life, I think I struggled more with what you're asking than I did as a kid. And how, I think my dad, was so amazed by his own personal experience of the freedom that he wanted everyone and anyone who had that same type of darkness and bondage to feel the freedom that he did, and let me as his son experience that. I mean, that's what I can surmise. Does that make sense?
Another question. So, did your dad or do you charge any money for exorcisms? And
No.
if not, how did he support the family?
He was a school teacher.
Okay.
So he'd come home every day after school, and usually late hours in the night, and perform these. Never did he exchange money or charge money or ask for money. Sometimes people would give him, things as a thank you, but he never had a shingle out his front door that said, exorcisms here, $30 an hour. I'll give you a discount. Yeah.
What about yourself?
I haven't, like I said before, I withdrew from getting engaged in that for so long that I'm just now, after I wrote the book, getting back involved in it. But I never did. I mean, I've performed many, not near as many as my dad, but I've performed a bunch, but never for charge or free or advertising. It's always been and only been people that said, hey, are you that guy's son who does this thing, and I might have this issue, etc. So,
is that something that happens in that world, like exorcists charging, and maybe does that seem fraudulent to other people in the exorcism world?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I've thought about that a lot, especially in this digital world that we live in. I mean, my folks never had that, and I think, even going back to what we talked about before with demons, they're going viral themselves now because of platforms like this that allow the conversations to multiply so quickly. But I mean, it's none of my business, really. I don't know what, if someone has a conviction and God wants to bless that and allows that, I think that's on him or her to decide. But I I know of people that do. I've seen people that do. But yeah, so he was a teacher, taught school, sold art every now and then, but that's how he provided. And my mom was a teacher too.
Okay, I'm also curious, have you discussed this with Catholic priests who are appointed exorcists, and what do you have in common with them, or what do you think of the way that Catholics go about exorcising demons, the fact that there is a very rigid
Yep.
rite of exorcism, that there's basically a script that they have to follow. From what I've gathered listening to Catholic exorcists, there's a very set rule for how they go about it.
Yeah, they're very studied. They're very studied. And like, I can't remember how the breakdown is, but there are, the Catholic churches have assigned exorcists, and that's their sole job. I was just on the Exorcist Files with Ryan Bethay and Father Martin, which is a
Interesting.
Catholic podcast.
Love that podcast.
What's that?
I love that podcast.
Yeah, they do an amazing job. They are really, really good from the sound effects to reenact. I mean, how those sounds and what you hear, that's exactly how it goes. Those noises, the growling, the wild, I mean, it's spot on. But I was just on there, and one of the questions they asked me before to kind of validate, if I as a Protestant should, talk about doing exorcisms on a Catholic dominant show. Father Martin's very graceful and very didn't have a problem. But yes, it is kind of a sensitive topic because they do it very, I guess you could say, academically. I don't want to say that as though, there's no soul or spirit there, but they are studied. They have to go to school for it. They're assigned. It's their job. It's got to go through a bunch of filters. They are very thorough. But at the end of the day, they do things differently than my dad has done or that I do. That's much more. It's just very Catholic. If you go to Catholic church, it's very, very liturgical, very procedure oriented. That's not how we do it, but they have results that you can't argue with. And like you said at the start of the show, I mean, there's reports where they're seeing an exponential rise in exorcisms over the last 5 years. And so they are so busy with that, they can't even keep up. So, I mean, again, we're all fighting on the same team, essentially, and at the end of the day, the demons have to go when you use the name of Jesus Christ as a believer, and they do the same thing.
Well, one thing that has stood out to me listening to Catholic exorcists talk about their experiences is that oftentimes they invoke the name of Mary, the Mother of God, and that is an absolute terror to the demons they encounter. And I want to know if you have ever done the same thing.
No, I mean, we've never used her or that name. It's always and only been, for us, Jesus Christ. That's the only, that's it. That's the one that causes them to fear. That's the one that they have to obey. That's the name. That's the authority that we invoke. That's the only one that we know and that we use. That's the only one I know that we have.
But they say that it's her profound humility, her virtue, and the fact that she bore Jesus that has such a profound effect on demons. And that's why they have a special hatred for her. So would you see that as ineffective?
I mean, they have said it's been effective, and I can't argue with what they've seen. I mean, logically it makes sense, but again, from my experience, I've never invoked a saint or Mother Mary, or it's always and only been the name of Jesus Christ. So I can't argue with what they've done because I've thought of it too, but it's nothing that we've experienced in our times.
Well, it's just things like that they, I've heard Father Martins or others say that they use sacramentals, or they use holy water, or they use the Eucharist, which are all exclusive to the Catholic Church. And they use this kind of as a way of like a process of elimination when they bring people in and they're trying to determine if this is a charlatan, if this is someone with a mental disorder, a medical problem. And unbeknownst to the victim, they bring these things into the room and see if it has some sort of effect on them. If they are repulsed at the presence of a sacramental or something that appears to be a sacramental but isn't. And if they react with repulsion to something that is just, a fake, then they can determine that this is a faker. So I hear things like that, and I know obviously I'm biased because I'm a Catholic, but I just don't see there's any way to dispute that,
Yeah, I don't dispute it. And one of the episodes on the Exorcist Files talked about, I can't remember the saint they were talking about, but it was his robe, I think. And there was blood left from his robe, and he was killed. And Father Martins used it on one of the people, and I think it burned the demon, or it shrieked or whatever. And I was fascinated by that. And I was brought to, and on the show that I did a few weeks ago, and I wrote about it in my book, one of the exorcisms I was doing years ago. I was studying at Oxford. I was praying over a lady, and as she was writhing on the ground, and I had my hand up just in prayer, and I had a ring on, like with the Christian fish. That's all it was. It was just a ring with the Christian fish, and I held it up, and the lady, who actually the demon in the lady, looked up at my hand and saw that and shrieked and slapped away my hand because of that ring that I had on, and that had never happened before. And I was fascinated by that exchange because, I didn't say, hey, in the name of this ring with the Christian ichthus, but the spirit saw that ring and saw the symbol of the fish and freaked out in vile hatred because it represented Jesus. So I shared that on the show with Ryan, and well, actually, Ryan asked me about that because of how I put that in the book. And I was, I didn't really ever take mind of it until that episode that I heard on the Exorcist Files with that robe with the blood of the martyr. So again, all your questions are valid. I'm fascinated because of that show with relics, but my dad and I, have never used that before or encountered a need for it. It's always worked with just Jesus and the cross.
I love the conversation between Catholicism and the Protestants. Is there a difference in how you define a demon versus the Catholic Church, or is there common ground on what a demon is? And if you could explain what you think, how you define a demon.
I haven't heard of any disagreement of how, they describe an encounter of a demon than what we've seen in a demon, whether it's the person manifesting that demon or as it's coming out of the person. But what I've heard, what little I know, there's like zero discrepancy. Where there's some difference, like the conversation we just had, is maybe the process. But as far as them, how they describe an exorcism, how the person behaves, how the demon shows, verbatim as far as I can see.
It's a fallen angel. Like, we agree on that.
Yeah, so I guess that's what I was getting at. Like that demons.
Yeah.
I hear from a lot of different people, whether they're Protestants or Catholics, that a demon is the product of the Nephilim, right? And that when they die, is that how you see that? Because that's the fallen angel. The fallen angel, the Nephilim are the product of the fallen angels, right?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of theories from people who take the Book of Enoch to be authoritative text, but I don't hold that on the same level as Scripture whatsoever. So no, I believe that angels are purely spiritual beings or purely rational beings. They have no physicality, never did. And they merely can take on the appearance of having a physicality. Yep. And that demons are fallen angels. They are just angels who rebelled against God. And I honestly just don't believe in the theory, the apocryphal theory that they ever intermixed with human beings, because that's literally impossible based on their nature as non-physical beings.
Right. And Rick, how do you see what a demon is in terms of that?
As far as the Nephilim from Genesis, or just who they are?
Well, yeah, you can react to the fallen angels part, but then go into what they are if you have a disagreement.
No disagreement. They are fallen angels. They are the third that followed Lucifer, Satan, after the battle down to earth, and they are his warriors and his at his beck and call, because they disobeyed God and they chose Satan in that war and went down. How they manifest is different sometimes, depending upon the form they want to take in the person they are. It usually is showed by, their assignment will usually kind of dictate how they reign and rule in the person. But I've seen, every demon I've seen is horrible looking, but sometimes they can manifest, as something beautiful. But demons are demons on either side of the fence. They're the fallen angels.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel. I hear the Enoch stuff, and I've read it, and there's so many disagreements on Enoch. Is that part of the Catholic Bible at all? Because I know there's extra books in the Catholic.
The Book of Enoch is not in the canon of Scripture for either Catholics or Protestants.
Depending on where you are, because Ethiopia does have it. There are places that do Enoch, but maybe just like the first of the 3 Enoch books. There's multiple ones. But yeah. I think it's interesting, but I don't know all that much about Enoch, but I see people using that as a way to describe what happened to Legion, and they connect that to Genesis and the flood and all that good stuff. But Rick, we've gone over a bit, but I do want to hear if you could tell us stories about, or at least one story about an exorcism you've performed, and what that looks like and how it came about.
Well, there's I'll talk about the one where I had the ring on my finger.
Okay.
Like I said, I was in Oxford. I started my graduate work there at Oxford University, and make some friends, talk to some people. It's not like I went on and advertised my story, but I told a few of my of the friends who I'd met. As you share life with, you told, hey, I've got this story, and here's how it really explodes my faith. Blah blah blah. Of course, it was at the university at the time. I was studying theology. And that story got around to a few people. And again, I shared it with some close friends, and they told friends who told friends, whatever. But this gal came to me who was studying to be a vicar, which is a priest for the Church of England. Very, very smart. She had a PhD, was getting her license to be a preacher. And she, when it even came and said, hey, I've heard about your dad's story. Is that real? And again, I'm always a little cautious when someone asks that, because I don't know what their angle is, or if they're trying to, it's not that I'm afraid to tell it, but I know if it's fodder, I'm not gonna tell a story that is, it's a waste of time. So I said, why do you ask? She's like, well, I think I might need some help. I said, well, talk to me about your story. And so she told me the story, very open about her story. And she said, as a kid, she has this image, this horrible image of her in her bed with her parents holding, it's going to be gnarly, but a bloody cross that was dripping over her. And as a child, that's all that she remembers. And she had been in counseling for, I think she said 15 to 20 years. And she said that horror in my mind shows up as something sometimes. I think there's something in me, like the story you talked about your dad. I think there's something in me that I need to get rid of. And she was about to get married and become a priest. And she's like, I think this has to be dealt with. I said, yeah, you're going into a lot of things. We need to figure this out. I said, like, you willing to meet and talk about it? She said, yeah. So I had her bring her fiance up, and then I brought a buddy up, and we met at the flat. She was very cognizant of an entity or a thing inside of her. Very, almost like like you talked about scrambled eggs. She was that open with, I don't know how to deal with it, but it comes and it goes, and like I said, it had been in years and years and years of counseling, and no one quite understood. They decided it was just a trauma, which obviously it was as well. But we got into conversation, and I said, do you want to be freed from this? Is this something you think that you're ready to be freed from and want to be freed from? And again, going back to your question, what's the process? That is, I wanted to make sure that she wanted that. I wanted to make sure that she was willing to go through the process. And so as soon as I started to pray with her, she looked at me and looked at her fiance and said, are you ready for this? Because she knew it was going to manifest and show. She was that comfortable with this spirit showing. And I said, yeah, let's go. And as soon as I started to pray, she went from an adult woman and not exact size, but morphed into this snake hissing type of a baby, and her voice sounded like remember Gollum's voice on Lord of the Rings? That squeaky, vile, kind of really demonic, otherly worldly. Her voice was like that, but like a kid. And she had slithered down onto the ground, and this thing was manifesting. And that's when I was praying over it and helping her, because like the person has to themselves say, I rebuke you. I want you. I rebuke you, spirit, in the name and blood of Jesus Christ, because they are the ones who let it in. They also are the ones who have to take authority to get it out. And so I was praying over her, with her, for her, saying those things, and then trying to help it. And of course, it was fighting back, like you heard on the Exorcist files, and that it was screaming. And like I thought the whole dorm was going to wake up and hear it because it was so loud and crazy. But she was hissing and on the ground and writhing. And I looked at the fiance at one point, and he was just frozen like a rock. The poor guy was freaking out. He's like, "This is who I'm going to marry." But I mean, after probably 3-4 hours, she was freed from several demons. But her body completely changed. Her voice changed. Her face changed. Her body contorted, and she was, demons were ripped from her soul, and she was freed. And at the end, she said, after 15 to 20 years of counseling, I've never felt this kind of freedom that I feel now in my spirit. Again, not because of me, has nothing to do with me, but it was the spirits who recognized the authority of Jesus Christ that she called on, that I called on, that they had to go. And so it wasn't by any magic sauce that I had or experience from my dad. It was the fact that I knew that I have authority in Jesus because of the cross over those spirits. And when they know that I know, or that we know about that authority through the cross, they have to respond, and they have to recognize that authority. And that was it was awesome. It was great to see. It was gnarly to watch, but it was amazing to see her freedom after that.
Well, amen to that. Mary, do you have any other questions before we go?
I do have a question about that. Did you reach any clarity about how those demons were or weren't invited into her? And I guess you don't have to clarify if it's something that's personal to that woman.
Well, as we, just high level, it's a, satanic ritualistic abuse. That's what that was. And they were in a cult, and they were giving their daughter to the cult so that they could get more power. And so because they had legal authority over her as parents, that allowed that spirit to go in to her because of their authority. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a lot of SRA cases like that. Tons and tons that we've dealt with. That's why.
We read about them all the time on the show in terms of satanic ritual abuse and children being abducted and their parents offering them. It's unfortunately incredibly widespread, and it's disgusting. But Rick, it was a pleasure talking to you. We went a little over, but I could keep talking to you. But we do have callers in the queue. But please let people know where they can find you online and where they can find your book.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. And thanks y'all for having me. This is great.
Of course.
I've got a website. It's theblue-lady.com. And then my book is called The Blue Lady, and that's on Amazon.com.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us, and have a great night.
Thanks, man. And good luck with the questions. I'm sure you'll get some doozies.
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait. See you, man.
All right, later.
Give it up for Rick in the chat, and give it up for Mary. This is incredible questions. I love it. I knew having like the resident Catholic in here with that, like I wanted to see that conversation happen. I love those conversations. You and I have had wild religious conversations before I even had any faith. Maybe I was like an agnostic early on.
That was a while ago, yeah.
It was a while ago. I mean, that was like 4 years ago. So I love those conversations. So let's get to some callers. And while we wait for that, have you encountered a demon in your life ever?
Yes.
Is this too personal?
I don't. Well, I'm not going to share.
Yeah.
It was in the context of sleep paralysis.
Oh wow.
Which is common. A lot of people experience the demonic in sleep paralysis. I won't share just because I don't know. I feel like that like gives them glory or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't share much that's personal with the internet anyway.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But what I will say is during that time, when I was hearing these vile messages spoken to me during sleep paralysis. That was a period of like a year, maybe 2 years before I really addressed it, because I was like, there must be something physiological about this. People have sleep paralysis, and it is a physiological experience.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not like it's all spiritual. So I was like, it's some sort of night terror going on.
Right.
But as soon as I returned to going to confession regularly and receiving the Eucharist, it just didn't happen anymore.
Incredible.
It just stopped.
That's
so
incredible.
that's kind of the main reason why it was confirmed to me that it was demonic in nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a theme on this show all the time, is what Christ does to demons and the things that people experience. Yeah. We hear it all the time. Do we have some callers we should get to? Let's hear some stories. Mary, we're going to have callers now, and you can say and ask anything.
Okay.
Give it to them.
We're going to listen and not judge.
No, Mary. Since when do you do that? That's not what you're known for. Not judging, please. But yeah, let's do it.
I can't promise I'm not going to sit here and silently judge. I'll probably.
I saw things going on in the chat. I didn't see the chat, but I saw you reacting to things earlier. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, the chat was lit for a
Can
second.
we just address the lights, though?
Yeah. So
what about?
Did you find out what that was?
I asked.
Oh, that part.
I
Forgot.
asked some people what they thought that was about. There were a small amount of people who blamed Surge.
Surge has bombed this show before. Mid-air, he's killed the whole show.
Yeah, he
from
literally
IRL.
ended our live stream a few weeks ago, right in the middle of it, and I had to get it back up
That was
really
awesome.
quick. So,
Whoopsie-daisy.
no stranger to emergency are we in the coffin, but there were only a few people who thought it was Mary's fault. Some people think Mary actually defended us, because why would a demon ever fuck with Mary is basically what I got from that. There's also people who think that it's whatever you're drinking in your cup.
Because it was as soon as I sipped my Gatorade.
So people have been watching for you to sip your cup because I don't know if they think you're drinking blood or some crazy shit out of there. I don't know.
It's just Gatorade. I promise.
But yeah.
We haven't checked, so we don't know. I mean, could be anything.
I have no idea. The only thing that I can tell you that I saw from my perspective is that your side of the room died.
All those lights went off.
And my side of the room was chilling.
Yeah. That was weird.
Yeah.
We were talking about that evil painting.
Yep.
I don't like it.
I don't know.
I just kept repeating Christ's name in my head. I was like, we're going to get through
I'm
this.
inclined to think that maybe we have a bad surge protector. That's where
no,
my mind went to that. Everybody else was like, no, you were talking about exorcism. It was demons. And I'm like, I don't know, dude.
I'm just saying it's weird if it's never happened before.
Yeah.
It's never happened in here.
It was definitely timing, but
Yeah.
Shane doesn't believe in coincidences.
I don't.
I think there's a possibility a squirrel ran into a transformer on one of the electric poles outside. I mean, I'm looking for like a normal answer to this, not like, holy shit, we're possessed.
No,
we can't
no.
talk about
No
Someone-
one's possessed.
Kelly
No one's
Key said
possessed.
that was a signal for Tim to throw the breaker. I don't know.
Actually, there were one or two people who accused Tim of tomfoolery as well. I
Interesting.
can promise you Tim's probably sleeping already, so I don't
Yeah.
think it was him.
Yep, yep.
There has been some paranormal tomfoolery on this
I've
property.
been
but
trying to get
can't
answers.
I can't even get into it.
You're
because
closer to the
it's-
basement than us, so have you heard or seen anything weird downstairs?
No,
'Cause
not,
we're up here half
not
the time.
in the basement. I mean elsewhere, but we can't get into it because it's like personal.
Do you know about it, Mary?
I know about it, but
We don't
I'm not
even
allowed
know
to say-
about it.
I'm not allowed to say.
Well, now we're going to hold you hostage here until we get some answers. Whatever happened, it sounds like it was crazy. So we're going to have to talk to you about this later.
Yeah.
We'll just say the list is on her desk, like Pam Bondi, and it's
Yeah, she's
just
got truckloads of stories.
Well, the point is, demons are attention seekers.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why they did the thing
So
with the lights.
you're saying they're-
just trying to distract from the conversation that we were having because it was so important.
They're trying to start a podcast.
Maybe. I mean, demons have already started podcasts. We know that.
This is the truth. This is the truth. I see it all the time. They're all over my Twitter feed.
See, I was trying to like compare when we were talking about symptoms of being exorcised and being possessed, and I couldn't help but compare it to me after I eat like a bag of hot chips, at a whim, where I've got like acid reflux and I'm like lurching and feel uncomfortable in my stomach region, that type of thing. And I'm sitting here trying to force myself to be like, can you imagine yourself actually possessed? And it's just like, yeah, that's basically what happens to me if I eat spicy food.
Yeah, Taco Bell has a profound effect on people. Got to be careful.
Yeah.
We had a caller on this show who called in from a haunted Taco Bell once.
A haunted Taco Bell.
Yeah,
Taco
yeah,
Bell.
that was like a year ago. Be careful, Taco Bell.
Do
people.
we have a location of this Taco Bell?
It was right down the road. No, I think it was in. I want to say it's somewhere down
Do
south.
a field report.
Yeah.
I was going
we
to say,
should.
I got homies at the one in Charlestown because I'm there all the time. So
should.
I could see if they'll
Actually,
let us do a live show.
I think Mary also loves Sheets. Am I wrong, or is it Brett that just likes Sheets gas station?
I mean, like, I like Sheets. I'm definitely into Taco Bell. Love Taco
You're
Bell.
more into Taco Bell because we've been talking about trying to do a live stream.
I
from
think
a Sheetz
All
or a
American
Taco Bell.
Rejects just did a live
They
show
did.
at a Sheets.
They did.
That's
a
so
couple of
awesome.
days ago.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which was only comparable to that hardcore show that went down at Denny's that one time when the kids like, what the fuck is up, Denny's?
I
And
love
they all
that
went.
show. I love that show. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, it
kids
was
are
amazing.
amazing.
There, I want that picture framed on my wall.
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. We should get those kids in here,
be
exercising
awesome.
the Denny's.
I wonder how old they are now. That was a while ago.
Yeah. Well, let's get to some callers. We went late, but sorry
Yeah.
guys. I know I said 10:40, but it went over, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we got tons of people to get to here.
Oh,
I can already tell you we're not getting to all of these people. Thank you guys for calling in so late. Let's kick it off with, I know Robert had some questions, so I want to bring Robert on.
Hey again.
Hello there.
What's up?
I really wish I could have talked to the guest.
What do you have? What are you
What
thinking?
are we, chopped liver?
Yeah.
No, because I've called in before with my possession story, so I wanted to get his opinion on it.
Well, you can look him up. His website, we should have it in the description, but he also said it earlier. You can look him up, Rick Hansen and the Blue Lady. So you should definitely hit him up if you have questions for him. But if you feel inclined to talk to us, we'll hear you out too.
Oh no, definitely. So, for one, for the ghost of Cass Castle,
Are you, by that, do you mean Mary
I have a
Morgan?
yeah, maybe.
Me?
All right.
Moi?
Few questions.
Oh.
For one, for Halloween, would you ever dress up as a captain so we can call you Captain Morgan?
No.
Would you dress in all red so we can call you Bloody Mary?
No.
Moving on.
Great answers.
Okay, do you got anything else
Great
for me?
answers.
Anything else?
Yeah, so I wanted to go. So whenever I called in last time for the possession, I talked about when it took over my tongue and it was pretending to be the Holy Spirit. So I was able to ask it questions with my mind and it answered with my tongue. But that was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have now is nothing gets rid of it. It only took possession of me once, but it's still in my body. And so whenever I try to cast it out in Jesus' name, it doesn't work. And whenever I try to do it, it says, take it up with your God while you can't get rid of me. I have permission to be here. So I want to know, have you ever heard any stories like this or any help?
I mean, I've heard a lot of possession stories, and it's going to depend who you talk to. Like we just talked about earlier, the difference between the Protestants and Catholics in their view. Mary's talking about there's a very detailed methodology in the Catholic Church on how they take care of demon possession. And then Rick has another way of going about it. So, I mean, Mary, I'm under the impression that you believe the methodology within the Catholic Church is the one way of getting rid of it. And is that your advice?
The one that we used as Christians for 1,500 years, and I think that we should stick to it. And it sounds to me like you should seek the advice of a Catholic priest, and if they determine that you're in need of an exorcism, they will direct you to an exorcist. That's only if you want to be freed.
That's
just
a good
as
point.
Rick said. So, I mean, that's all that I can really tell you.
And they take it seriously, I think you can
Everyone
go
knows
ahead-
when things get serious, you call the Catholic Church.
Right,
Everyone
right,
knows that.
right.
That's why exorcism-related movies all use Catholicism as the backdrop.
Yeah.
Or the plot device,
I mean,
however crudely.
the church takes it very seriously, and it's not just
Yeah.
exorcisms. They go in and they have people who investigate a lot of supernatural things, from all types of hauntings. So I mean, yeah,
And they investigate miracles. Like
Exactly.
they're just as skeptical of miracles as they are skeptical of possessions.
Yep. It's a great point. So if you, and like Mary says, this is, you have to want to have it gone, and then you can seek out the right people to help get rid of it. I've heard possession stories where, I don't know if recidivism is the right word, but they sometimes do come back, and it might be because the people are not ready to let go of it.
If they come back, they were never gone.
Boom.
But I have the Holy Spirit, and he's the one, the name of Jesus is the one that casts these things out. So if I'm using the name of Jesus and it says it has permission to be here, what do I do?
I mean, I believe that the name of Christ should dispel of these things. So when
I agree.
it comes to you, how are you certain that you have something within you?
Because I guess it moves, and so the best way to put it is the intrusive thoughts. It feels like it's trying to take over the steering wheel by like talking, but and it's not my conscience, because my conscience can come and go like whatever. This is like an intrusive voice that comes and goes as it pleases, and then it will come to me things like, give me control of your tongue again, and hit the play button on YouTube and record it, and I will make you rich and famous, more than what your God will ever do for you. Stuff like that, trying to get me to blaspheme against God.
Sir, you're frustrating me. This is all love. Sometimes we ask other people to pray for us, and not because we need their prayers, but because it helps. So you should find someone to help you.
Yeah.
Mary, you're one of my favorites. You'll never get be on the wrong side of me.
I'm glad to know that. So I hope you listen to me.
Yeah.
Except for you, Brandon. You're a Titan man, I can tell.
Absolutely fucking not. I denounce Titan mains. I think they're all crayon eaters, okay? If we're getting right into it. So, no, I am a hunter main. I've never been anything else. I will never go to the dark side of being a warlock or a Titan ever. You heard it here first. And anybody who plays that game with me knows.
Can I end on some fun things? Because I had merch ideas for the channel. I wanted to give you guys some fun ideas.
Let's hear it.
All right. My first one is Brandon and Bigfoot stargazing at UFOs, and we'll call it the Quatchman.
I mean, this is the guy who said he'd chase after Bigfoot. I don't know if they're going to be friends.
I would be
the
sitting there
Cashman,
calling
that's
him on his bullshit. Like, come on, take the mask off, dude. Like, this is great and all. I'm having a great time, Thanks for the tacos, but take your fucking mask off, please.
It is a pretty image, though. Those two just stargazing.
Maybe I'll submit that for a skateboard design for the boonies. We'll see.
All right. Number 2 is Vampire Phil. And then
Vampire
it says
Phil.
the full Labonte.
Say it again. What, Labonte?
The full Labonte.
I think
dangerous.
Phil's girlfriend is actually watching. Yeah. So, Sarah, if you heard that, let Phil know.
We have to have a spin on Inverted World, so he's Vampire Phil here.
He's actually 1,000 years old.
We got to get Phil in here one of these nights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 3, we have Shane riding Nessie. Shane has a fedora and a Tommy gun, and he's called the Loch Ness Mobster.
Okay. Perfect. That's my part-time job anyway.
You were working on this weekend. I know you were.
I was. Then here is my magnum opus, my crescendo. We will have a ghost piloting a honeyboo, and we'll have Shane, Brandon, what's the one girl with the blonde, Alex?
Alex, yes.
Alex and her husband, all dressed in Ghostbuster uniforms, and it will be called the Boo Fighters.
Chris would be driving the car.
That's right. The Boo Fighters.
Because his name is Chris Carr and he's our driver.
That's right.
That's just
That's right. Yeah.
That's all I've got.
Also not a coincidence.
No.
Who created Chris? I don't know. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, sir. And give us a call back when you get that help Mary says you so deserve.
And the final plus one I got is we'll bring back the 70s with the Wendy Go-Go boots.
Yikes! I'm gonna abstain.
Those are for Brandon.
I'm good on that shit, but I appreciate the
awesome.
suggestion.
Have a good night.
Thanks,
All right,
man.
Robert,
Good night.
All right, I've got a question for you two now. Why? So this is all. A lot of this, what we've heard today, is achievable or fixable sometimes, if not all the time, by the remedy of prayer, right? But we need to have a physical ordained minister or somebody who is recognized in the eyes of God to perform these prayers. These people can't do this on their own.
Well, you're asking a Catholic and like a non-Catholic Christian.
Well, that's why I feel like it's
So
a good
she
question
has a
to ask,
different
because
answer.
maybe you guys have two different opinions here.
Okay,
but
so
Yeah.
you think that someone can exorcise demons from themselves?
That part I don't know. Are you talking about exorcisms or
that's
just prayer?
that's
Or just
basically
prayer?
what I'm asking.
Or
like,
just
why
prayer?
why isn't if it's so easy to renounce a demon in Jesus' name,
Yep.
why aren't more people having success with something like that? Why do they need to go to people who are sought out as professionals, somehow recognized in the eyes of God,
Yep.
unlike any other people that are having these issues?
Yep.
And sure, we have some cases where people have said they've welcomed in these demons, like he was talking about, other people who have just befell them, and they have anything that they've tried hasn't worked.
Yep.
But going to these professionals for some reason seems to work. Having to be recommended to a professional seems to work. And I want to know what the idea behind that is.
I think exorcisms might be different, but I think people can use Christ's name to get rid of a problem, like a demon or a haunting, whatever you want to experience in your room. But it did take Jesus to exorcise the demons out of Legion. Do you think? You think exorcisms have to happen with a Catholic priest who knows what they're doing. But what about when it's like you're experiencing something in your house and you think it might be a demon of sorts? Could you expel that?
And a Catholic priest I can understand, ordained ministers I can understand, but just people that are doing this, that aren't in the fatherhood, aren't priests, aren't ordained ministers, aren't recognized by the Catholic Church in any way, shape, or form, but are still able to perform these exorcisms.
Right.
I'm just wondering what the validity of like the success factor is on this, based off of your credentials. I mean,
I'm super skeptical of
Yeah.
anyone who's claiming to be an exorcist who's not a Catholic priest,
Right,
admittedly. And I think what it comes down to, in my perspective, is just the fact that demons are incredibly legalistic. That's actually the message in a lot of the Screw Tape letters is just how legalistic and honestly like
Bureaucracy.
bureaucratic
Yes.
they are.
100%.
They care about the letter of the law,
Yeah.
and they'll get you on it.
Yep.
They care deeply about hierarchy and authority. And in the Catholic Church, it's recognized that ordained priests they are working in the person of Christ.
Yeah.
The priest himself, as a man, as an individual, is not powerful, but he's ordained to exercise the power of Christ in his person. So that's why priests administer all the sacraments.
Right.
That's why they have the power to do that.
Yeah.
And that's similarly why only priests and only select priests are assigned to exorcise demons, because demons recognize their authority.
Yeah.
Demons believe in God.
Of course.
They're thoroughly convinced of God's existence, and also of His presence in the Catholic Church, in the Eucharist. And they know that the priesthood that ordination into the priesthood is an indelible mark on someone's soul. And that's actually why a lot of exorcists say that they can that possessed people sometimes manifest, they're not aware of it, but they sometimes manifest in the presence of an exorcist who's in plain clothes.
Oh, interesting.
Because they know,
Right.
they can tell the difference. So
Right.
yeah, I do think it's incredibly important.
Do you think that you need that authority to take care of what someone might think is a demon in their house?
That's interesting because I, during the time when I was dealing with this sleep paralysis thing, I knew I wasn't possessed, but I thought like blessing my house could definitely have a positive effect.
Right.
So I was advised to do that. I asked a parish about getting a priest to come bless my house. And actually that parish was dragging their feet, and they told me that because I was still living at home at the time, the head of the household still has authority, also as my father has the authority to bless the house if there's not a priest available. So that's what we ended up doing.
Okay.
And similarly, like you have a certain level of authority over yourself. you have a certain level of authority over your spouse, over your children. Demons also recognize that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that the head of a household can bless
I
his
think
home.
so.
If there's not a priest available to do so, which is the ideal.
Yeah. Saging. How are you on saging?
You beat me by literally 1 second.
I rebuke it.
I'm with you.
I rebuke bookstores with crystals. I rebuke.
Oh, my mom would
rebuke
hate
the
you.
tarot cards.
Ian just appeared in this room somehow.
I rebuke.
I'm
all
with
of
you.
It.
I'm totally, because I think
Crazy. You go into any bookstore these days, and
Yep.
half of it isn't even books.
I know.
It's
Witchcraft.
it's sage. It's crystals, tarot cards.
100%.
My mom has put so much money into her crystal collection, and when I was leaving Chicago to come down here, she forced me to take a bag of some of these crystals and put it in my glove box for protection. And she's like, "Here's one that you put under your driver's seat.
They're not in this
Here's
room
one
right
that you
now,
put
are
in the
they?
bag."
Did
No,
you
fuck
do
no.
it?
To appease her, yes. And Mom, I love you, but the idea that crystals are going to save my life in an accident that isn't my fault is batshit crazy. Again, I love you. Thank you for birthing me, but this shit has gotten out of control. I'm gonna need you to do something with all of those crystals. Do not leave them in the will to me, please.
I've noticed in a lot of these, and I agree with you. I've noticed in a lot of bookshops that they have a lot of witchcraft books near the children's section.
They do, and they've also, I have no idea how this is allowed. I went into a bookstore that's local recently. They somehow got permission from the Tolkien estate to make Lord of the Rings themed tarot cards.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
this
he'd
is a
be
real
so
thing.
mad.
I mean, the way he's fine. He has bigger things to think about now. But I was just
True.
like the way he's rolling in his grave over this is
yeah.
disgusting.
Of course.
Yeah, and I did mention the commercialization of witchcraft earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge draw for women. Obviously, there is a horoscope page in every major publication that's
Mm-hmm.
targeted at a female demographic.
I could see it being a huge draw for children too because of Halloween and shit, right? So I could see them totally trying to appeal to the younger audience with witches and wizards and
sure.
especially after Harry Potter.
Yep. There's been a long attack on children falling in love with witchcraft. I mean, I don't think people think I think some people think that that's funny to say, like, oh, witchcraft. I'm like, I was in Georgia and there were literally all these witches everywhere doing their witchy stuff, literal blood magic on a battlefield on a full moon, like something you'd think
they'll
you'd see
tell
out of
you.
Sabrina. Yeah, they are so happy about it.
Yeah.
Did I tell you how some of those witches thought they were Catholic too?
Oh.
Yeah, and they thought that there was a blend that you could do of like Catholicism and witchcraft. I'm like, I don't think that's how that works at all. But they had all these loopholes, why
Who's
it's
gonna
okay.
tell him?
I tried, and that's just before I was saved. But I was like, I don't think that's how it works. But there's a lot of people within Appalachia who have this weird crossover of Christianity and witchcraft. I'm like, I don't know. I think
This
that's too
country
good.
is weird.
This country is amazing and super
But
weird.
weird.
Super weird. Super weird. Look, we're talking about bookstores and children's books like with witchcraft. I think it's very obvious.
Shout out to Phil Labonte, who is actually watching.
What?
Hi,
Shout out
Phil.
to Phil. We had a fun IRL tonight. I didn't talk about Epstein once.
Oh,
Maybe I did because I talked about.
why not?
I did say that the people got Tim without a beanie before they got the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Fact.
A lot of people think Tim did that for the $200, and I can tell you Tim did not do that for the $200. The $200 played absolutely no fucking role whatsoever in that man taking off his beanie on Matan's show. So
That was hilarious. That was a fun one though. Let's do another caller. This episode's zipping by. I'm sorry we're not giving Mary the full experience of dozens of callers.
yeah, we
wild
usually
stories.
don't have an hour and 10-minute intro guest. Along
It's
with
usually
an
30 or
in-studio
40.
guest. This is the first time I've ever producing this show that I've done this, so this
Yeah.
is new for me too, and I feel like I'm so
You're doing
much
great.
more.
You're doing great.
So many
we're
more
doing it.
It's
things to
usually
do.
majority callers.
Yeah.
okay.
Typically, we'll do like 20 or 30 minutes of some story. I have so many stories for this week to talk about. There's like fighting amongst the UFO
Yeah, we didn't
community.
even get to articles.
The
No.
UFO community is beefing.
So much drama. I
UFO
can't stand
community is
any of
always
them.
beefing.
But there's like one person put out like this video yesterday or 2 days ago saying if so and so doesn't respond to this in 3 hours, I'm gonna disclose where the secret UFO is hiding in a building in the country.
Yeah,
And she did.
If you don't reply to this, then I will know that you are one of them.
Yep.
And then,
And they're all saying things now. Like, I've got all these issues with the whistleblower community and all this
It's
stuff.
like those posts on Facebook that are like if you love Jesus, scroll if you love Satan.
Yeah. And she did that with the UFO. But she did release the information of where the UFO is. She thinks it's in Nebraska.
I know a guy who knows a guy who's really into the whole UFO thing, and he thinks that there are deep sea aliens
100%.
who are trying to protect us from the outer space aliens with a beacon, and the beacon has a certain type of fuel, and it just ran out of fuel. It's about to run out of fuel.
Where is he getting this information
The
from?
beacon is supposed to...
James Cameron.
Yeah.
The beacon is supposed to signal
Okay.
to the space aliens not to come here. To tell them, don't come here.
And
Don't visit.
does he have an idea where the beacon is?
It's in the water. It's
Like,
deep
where in the
underwater
water?
in
Do
the
we know
sea.
where?
I don't know.
Well,
but they ran
Antarctica?
out of fuel.
Okay.
Or they're about to run out of fuel, and the beacon's going to stop working. So then that's when the space aliens are going to be like, oh, I guess the coast is clear.
We've got,
Let's show up.
Let's do it.
according to what we talked
It's all
about.
just so ridiculous to me. I'm sorry.
You have to
aliens
believe in
aren't
space.
real.
I mean, you have to believe in space to believe any
So
of
here's
that.
the thing. Here's the thing. This is interesting timing, considering that, what was it, a week or two ago, we identified a large moving rock that was told that it was a hostile
Yeah.
alien spacecraft. Hostile.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how they determined that this thing was hostile.
Aggressive.
If there's a bunch of
Sometimes
aliens
they
on it
said it
waving
was
their fucking
aggressive.
fist at us.
Yeah.
If they're,
How do you
waving
know?
anti-human flags or something. I don't know what
It just has the
hostile.
Free Palestine written on the
It was
asteroid.
moving aggressively.
Yeah,
that's
no,
what they're
that's
saying.
what I said. I was like, is it moving aggressively? Like,
That's literally what a Harvard
does it have its
professor
middle
saying.
finger up pointed at us? I mean,
Yeah.
how do we know that this
Yeah.
is aggressive? It's just a giant floating space rock that's shaped like a submarine sandwich. With the arrival of that, God knows when, these guys are going to have their hands full if they don't have any gas in the tank.
Yep.
Because we have some hostile aliens coming.
Yeah.
I don't believe in aliens.
As if the aliens would just like politely stay back because
Yeah.
of the beacon.
I love that. I'd like to know where he found that information.
Like,
I'd like to look
traffic
into
light?
it.
Oh shit, guys, it's Bob. No, reroute. Bob's there. He's got it covered.
There is something weird happening in the oceans, though. I think some fish might be actual aliens, like aliens.
Okay, they look weird.
Anglerfish,
They're fish.
The octopus, squid. Those are weird. I don't
Yeah?
trust them. I think they're a little too smart for their own good. You seen the octopus try to get out of the jar? Guessing lottery
I've
numbers?
seen octopi get out of some very sticky situations.
They're going to take over at some point. I think that's the real threat.
They're insanely
It's the-
intelligent. A lot of these aquamarine life forms have learned how to communicate on frequencies and sound, which
As
is
we've
genius.
discussed.
But they also live in a giant body of water where
Yeah.
you can't. Have you tried to talk underwater? It's fucking hard.
Yeah, it's tough. It's
You
tough.
know, they had to come up with something else.
Right.
We've talked about NASA trying to study dolphins and whales and the circles that whales make by blowing into the water and the dolphin language because they think it's going to help them talk to aliens. That's where your text.
Why do they want to talk to the aliens?
They want to know.
What do they have to say
They
that's
want to
so
know
cool?
how to take over the government. I don't know.
Like,
NASA
it's
believes in aliens.
so, I realize we're on YouTube, but
It's late enough.
it's retarded.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, they
That's
don't care about
nothing.
that.
It's so
That's nothing.
retarded that people believe in aliens given the fact that world governments discuss it.
Mm.
Do you think they would talk about it if it were real?
Right. Unless that's part of
Think.
the psyop. Unless that's part of the psyop. Because they're like, they think if we talk about it, then they'll
Oh,
think
it's like a
that
double
fake.
negative. Right.
Well, the other side
You
of
never
that
know.
too is like, hey, we could always just leave it as a segue for massive distraction.
And that's
Let's
all it
believe
is.
the government. Aliens are real and the client list isn't.
Yes. Yeah, well,
That makes sense.
the day that Ghislaine Maxwell was they're floating the idea of her getting pardoned is when the news dropped of this hostile, aggressive alien probe was on its way.
This diva.
I think aliens are more real than the fucking Epstein list, honestly. Seeing as how we've had a bunch of alien sightings and no Epstein list sighting,
Yeah,
other than on Pam Bondi's desk, which
If
is a
aliens
black
do
hole.
show up, which she is, I don't believe in them, but they do show up and they have the list. Would you believe it?
I would want to know how the fuck they got a hold of it, obviously, but
They control it all, you know. They
You
have
know,
it
it's
the
no
whole
different from
time.
that guy that posted a random list of 150 people on Twitter and said all of these names must be investigated immediately. I could have done that.
Yeah.
You know, but no one knows me. I'm not a
Maybe you
source.
Yeah.
So why would anybody give a shit what I
It's
post?
a good way to go viral. Just put out a list.
Yeah.
Just put out anyone you want. Who do you like?
Wow.
That person from Taco Bell.
It's like,
made
Sean, that's going to go
really-
viral. Wow. Wow.
That's amazing. Clip it, Sean. Let's try to do another caller before
let's
we run out of
try.
time.
Let's
here.
try.
Yeah.
So we are going to go to, I believe this was the first person in the room here, to Shane H. Wilder.
Hey, I know that name.
So do I.
Shane Wilder, you are on Inverted World Live. What is up?
Hey, how is it going, Shane, Brandon, and of course Mary?
Hello.
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. I almost wanted to start out after all the craziness with a St. Michael prayer, but we are pressed for time. So if I have time afterward, I will. Then I had 3 little stories I wanted to talk about, but we don't have a lot of time, so let's skip my dad's demon story and my mom's visitation by the Blessed Virgin Mary, and just go straight to my story because it's one I've mentioned but never talked about at length. So back in beginning of 2023, my dad was in the hospital dying. He had gotten sick like 4 years prior and misdiagnosed, caused it to get really bad and sped up so fast that by the time I saw him, he was intubated, his lungs were shutting down, his kidneys were shutting down. And I drove home. Once I got the news he had been intubated. And on day 9 of being there, it was a Friday, my mom would not leave the hospital. She had to be with him the entire time. I would go to their house because someone had to get a decent night's sleep to keep things under control. I got into bed, was sitting up in bed, about to do my prayers and everything, feeling really bummed about everything going on. And all of a sudden, I start seeing this white light appear, blinding white light, getting bigger and bigger in the room. It addressed itself as the Archangel Michael, which for me has meaning because that's my dad's patron saint. And using a voice I can only say as a combination of gruff and commanding, yet very loving and sensitive, just said 3 words to me: he's already gone, and disappeared.
Wow.
That Sunday at exactly 12:01 a.m., my mom was holding one hand, I was holding my dad's other hand as he passed away.
Wow. That's powerful.
And this gets crazier. I'm going because my dad got sick so quick, he couldn't get a will ready. So everything had to be probated. Was told from the jump before my dad was even in the ground that the house was going to have to be sold. So found a place for my mom near where I'm at, moved her, and was going through everything, trying to figure out getting lawyers, got to get all this going. And as most men will attest, if they're losing their mind trying to figure things out, even as a grown man, you call your dad. Can't call my dad. He's no longer with us. But I am saying, Dad, wish you were here. I go to sleep one night with all this going on, and I have a dream so vivid that I can still see it like I was actually there. Blinding white room, and my dad is there, looking healthy, looking good. And I will attest that I believe at this point he was probably a holy soul in purgatory, just finishing his last bit of time in purgatory. I'm hoping and praying. He looks at me and says, "I'm not here anymore." And as if to say, "Hey, I raised you. You know what to do. You don't need to tell me to tell you that you're doing the right thing. You got this." I went to embrace him and give him a hug. Before I could, I was awake, sitting straight up in bed. My brain went, "This is a dream. Go get a shower. Get ready for work." I go get a shower, go back into my bedroom, and there's a personal item that from my dad that is normally in another place in my bedroom, sitting on my bed. No way for it to get there. I put it up, do the rest of getting ready, go to work, hook my phone up to my car. Spotify comes on, and now we had the typical Catholic rosary, Catholic funeral mass. But because my mom and I were the only two Catholics, we also just had a standard generic viewing the evening before, and I had made a playlist with some music that would work and everything. Hadn't played that playlist since then. It popped up on Spotify and started playing. I'm going, at this point, I'm really going, my dad knows that I believe in certain things, but I'm also very skeptical. Maybe trying to say, don't be skeptical. This is what you dreamt was not just some dream. I let it play all the way to work. Something compels me, just let it play. Get to work, go to work. When I get off, plug my phone back into my car. That playlist is not playing, something else is playing. I go into recently playings, and it shows that it had never been played.
Wow.
I finally get a lawyer and have to travel back to my hometown. Something tells I get everything ready because I'm going to have to go pick my mom up, take her with me, and something while I'm packing everything says, "Grab your holy water." No reason why, just grab your holy water. Grab my holy water, go pick my mom up, drive the 6 hours to my hometown, and there was one bed left in the house because since I moved her, she didn't need all the beds that were in that house. She's going to sleep on it. I'm going to sleep on an air-up mattress in the living room. Already had that planned out. Get to my hometown city limits. I immediately feel uneasy. The closer we get to the house, I get more and more uneasy. By the time we pull up, you can cut the tension in me with a knife. I look at her and say, "Leave your purse, leave all the luggage in the car." I go into the house and I'm holy water everywhere, doing the Our Fathers, Hail Marys, Glory Bees, St. Michael's prayers, blessing the entire house. I'm not taking any chances. That night, I had the mattress in the living room. My mom had already gone back to go to bed. We have to see the lawyer in the morning. I'm the one trying to handle everything. I left the kitchen light on because the living room is one of those living rooms that does not have light fixtures. If you don't have a lamp plugged in, you have no light. There's no lamps in there. So just so I have some light, if I have to get up in the middle of the night, I'm not bumbling around everywhere. I'm sitting on the mattress, start my nightly prayers. I think I see something go across the kitchen. But, I'm tired. It's my imagination. And it happened again. I'm like, I'm really tired. Focus on your prayers. Get everything done. I go back to praying. At this point, I feel something stand behind me on the air up mattress, and I hear a very deep, gruff voice just say, "What the fuck is with all that praying shit?" My first thought is, one, yeah, anyone would be scared shitless, but I know what it is, and I know it only has control if I allow it. I immediately call upon St. Michael, and I say, in Jesus' name, you have no authority over me, over anyone in this house, or in this house itself. I thought you understood earlier when I was here, you can go back to hell. It disappeared. The weight was lifted off the air mattress. Everything felt calm. I immediately went, grabbed my bag, pulled the holy water back out, and re-blessed everything. And then went back to my nightly prayers. Never had another issue. I never told my mom till I was taking her back to her place after we were done there. And I said, "Did you have anything weird happen?" She said no. And then I finally told her what all happened and said, "I understand why it happened to me and not to you, because I was in control of trying to get everything done. She's just along for the ride. If it goes after her, who cares? It's not going to affect much. I can still get everything done. You take me out, everything's fucked."
Wow. That's a powerful story.
That's my story. It happened over about 3 months.
Wow.
And I can tell you the demon event happened about a week before Pop Culture Crisis went live for the first time.
Whoa.
Oh, interesting.
Whoa. That's amazing. I mean, amazing and terrifying story. We've had a lot of people call in with similar stories after losing someone very close to them. It's terrifying, but beautiful, you know? The dream with your father, you know, with the item, that's very compelling. Could you say what it was that moved? What was that?
Yeah, it was because I'm out in Texas and there's a bunch of Native Americans. Even though we put no stock in it, and as Catholics, you can own these as long as you treat them as just artwork. It was a dream catcher.
Oh.
Like Catholics, you can own it. You can own a statue of Buddha as long as you go, it's just some random statue. If you start putting onus in it as it has any power, that's when you get into sin. But I think that was sort of an interesting random thing to put in, you know, move that I had just kept since I was a kid.
The playlist story gave me some chills. When you said the playlist was playing, and then when you got back into the car, it was not in your history.
Yeah, not in my history. It wasn't even playing. I have no idea why, and it's a playlist I just made just for the viewing, and at that time, so much going on, I'm not thinking about deleting old playlists.
We've had someone call on the show a very similar story about a father actually who had just passed, and the song, I forget what song it was, but remember that someone said that they turn on the radio and it was just like that song right after they saw, I think, an apparition or something that they thought was their dad.
Yeah.
It's wild. I mean, I've had weird experiences with the dead. I don't know, you know, after my grandfather, who I was very close with, appearing in certain ways just once, well, maybe twice actually, in one trip in Florida. And I just can't make any sense of that experience at all. And I haven't had a lot of weird experiences like that, but that one's really bizarre.
My take is that Spotify just sucks and they didn't actually save your playlist.
No.
I think Spotify is garbage.
Spotify. I never use it.
I hate them so
I
much.
never use Spotify.
They are such shit to their artists, and it wouldn't be the first time that Spotify has made somebody lawyer up over a play. So
The rest of it, I don't think you can really chalk that up to coincidence.
No.
Yeah.
You know?
and I'm not trying to. I just
Right.
wanted to talk shit about Spotify.
Spotify, yeah.
Yeah.
That's your Boeing.
I digress.
You know how I talk about Boeing?
Exactly.
That's how you talk about
Yes,
Spotify.
absolutely.
But
And
no.
like I said, I believe that, my dad was probably in purgatory doing what he needed to do as someone in purgatory, because I'm pretty much with Mary on this. I don't really believe in ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
It's either demons or someone in purgatory who has very limited availability to just do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And as penance, I guess you wouldn't say, to make that next move on to heaven. So
Yeah, that's why I brought that up earlier, because I think that your loved ones can, in limited ways, reach out, communicate in some limited way in order to request prayers for their sanctification in purgatory, because they desperately want to be in full communion with Jesus in heaven. But I think maybe people get confused by that, and they think that it's a haunting, or they think that there's something nefarious going on about it. But if there's any confusion, if there's any deceit or darkness or division as a result of it, that's when I would say, like, that is a demon who is playing pretend, who is disguising themselves as a dead person.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know about any of that actually until I interviewed Seamus on the very first iteration of this show. Back when it was in a PCC studio before PCC.
Yeah.
And Seamus was like going through, he was going to be a priest at one point.
Back then?
Way before that, though.
Before that,
And
okay.
he was like walking me through all that. I didn't even realize about praying for the dead in the Catholic Church. I never knew about that, but I like that.
We got all sorts of kooky stuff.
I mean, you do, but it's beautiful. I've grown up with my dad's Catholic. I only went to Catholic church for funerals, so I didn't really know much about anything. All I knew is that we went there for when another one of my crazy uncles passed away. That was
I
my
had a crazy
experience.
uncle.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah, can I just share
Yeah.
briefly?
Absolutely.
I won't say his name. There's too much available information actually online. So, but I did have a crazy uncle who, bless his heart, he was really into UFOs, like the whole concept of that. And I believe he had a bunker, like an underground bunker of some kind.
Sounds pretty sane so far.
He wrote a book about futuristic agriculture. And I think that I recall people told me he believed that aliens disguised themselves as like inanimate objects, like this.
Oh, geez.
Like this could be, an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I've been meaning to read his book.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I want to hear
For
this
sale,
book.
actually.
Amazing. This is
If someone finds the book based on just what I said, that would be crazy.
this is good Mary lore. I did not know. I did not see that coming.
We have some people on here who do their homework. And
Yeah.
come back to
They're
us.
not gonna find it. There's no way.
You guys heard the challenge right there.
Yep, you just
Mary has
set off
issued
the
the
whole
challenge.
thing.
I will be incredibly impressed.
Tag me on X. Let me know if you find anything. Insta2, that's fine. At Brando Inverted. I will make sure to copy Mary on it so that she sees the ways of that failure.
Incredible. Well, Shane, thank you so much for sharing that story. It was incredible.
Oh, yeah. Sorry it was kind of lengthy, but there was a lot to it, and I couldn't find a way to cut it down without leaving out good, important information.
You're all good, man.
You did
We
great.
appreciate you telling it anyway. We're sorry we didn't have more time for you tonight.
Yeah, but call back with those other stories. We'd love to hear them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Y'all take care. Peace be with you.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Same
you.
to
Thanks,
you.
Shane.
All right. It's 12:06. I don't know how that happened. That was a fun one. Mary, you're awesome.
This is so fun.
So awesome having you on the show, and I hope we do it again.
Yeah.
My goodness, I had all these other stories we could get to, and I'm sorry to the callers that we did not get to, but we'll continue tomorrow with the Sea of Galilee is blood red currently, and we also have mutating rabbits in Colorado that have horns and tentacles.
Ew.
Yeah, and last week, was it, when we talked about the robot rabbits that Florida's sending after the Burmese pythons in the Everglades? It's a big 2 weeks for rabbits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I seen the picture of this thing, and it's basically, it looks like the whole zombie deer thing, but it's just got
Can we just show Mary really quick?
giant parasites. Yeah, we can totally do this.
This thing is disgusting.
It's not real.
Oh, it's real.
I haven't even seen
This
it.
is real.
I
The
know.
moon's
Let me
fake, but
see. Hang
this, like, kraken-looking rabbit is real. It's
Where do we
not cool.
have?
Oh, yeah, we also have all the UFO drama to get into tomorrow at some point. It's been it was a crazy weekend for Inverted World Stories. Okay, that's just a normal rabbit. And there's a commercial. That's not a rabbit.
Yeah, I
that's
was like,
it's
where's
a commercial.
Okay,
There we
there's
go.
there's
Oh, is that a rabbit smoking a cigarette? Oh, it
no,
almost
that's
looks like,
that's shit growing out of its face.
it looks like fur.
There was a better picture of this.
Those are
and
horns, Mary.
Where are the horns?
Those are horns
That just
and
looks
tentacles.
like matted fur.
It does. This is a terrible picture compared to the one that I saw when I looked up this article, which has now since disappeared.
Play the video.
Interesting.
Play the video.
Hang on, let me.
We'll
make
just
sure
give you
this
guys a
isn't
little
gonna give us
appetizer.
This isn't going to give us some bullshit here.
We're gonna
This
do
doesn't
tomorrow.
even look like
She's
this
not
is-
saying anything important anyway. But those are normal rabbits.
I can give this
Okay.
sound. Hang on.
We know what rabbits look like.
Allegedly, those are rabbits, not the kind from last week.
Okay.
Boom.
So
What do you think? What do you think about that?
that was rabbit
what? No,
bane.
no, go back.
Go back.
That was rabbit bane.
Rabbit.
What
Bane.
the
No one cared about me until I put on the mask.
Shit, I gotta.
That's just a still image. There's no video.
Uh,
It's not moving around.
yeah,
I
it might-
didn't
is it
see
AI?
any motion. I mean, it doesn't look like it can see where the fuck it's going, so I'm assuming it
Look.
probably just
It's
sits there
fat.
all
That's
day
a-
You
now.
know what happens to deer, especially out in this country? They get, what do they get? They
Zombie
get-
deer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're zombie deer. What is that? Like they have like brain-eating amoeba.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
parasites
right.
or something eventually
Right.
that just
Yeah.
completely take them over, get in their
Yeah.
lungs, eat them from inside
Like
and
The
out.
Last of Us. That just looks like
So-
a what is it called on The Last of Us? Like a
I've never seen it, but is that a zombie rabbit then?
That's what I was saying. Is I think that this is
cordyceps.
akin to the zombie syndrome.
cordyceps
Cordyceps?
bunny. That's what it is.
Holy crap! That sounds very serious.
There are cordyceps deer.
Yeah, I've seen them. There's also deer
So-
with fangs. Have you seen those?
No.
Oh yeah, there's deer with fangs in Japan. Might be genetic freaks. I
They
don't
be
know.
like walking around on their hind legs, like
Maybe.
doing crazy stuff.
If you've seen one of them.
woods.
This
Official
lady
ruling.
talking right now is telling people she's seen one. She's a witness.
That's-
She has a picture on her phone of the same picture we just saw back here.
Yeah. She's like, Grok, make me this rabbit with
could've
horns
done
on
that.
its chin. What is that
This
dog?
is this
What's
is
wrong
a
with the dog?
eyewitness account from a dog.
Is that dog is that dog telepathically talking to us right now?
He
Are you
literally
hearing
just said,
that?
I've seen these rabbits.
I have seen the rabbit.
I have chased several of them.
If he bit one, he's screwed.
I can't catch them. They're too fast.
Yeah.
So,
There's way more
zombie
serious
rabbits.
pictures of those, Mary. So
Don't let me steal your thunder.
tomorrow. No.
Zombie
I
rabbits.
I just want you to be concerned out there. You don't know what's out there. We had radioactive wasps a few weeks ago in South Carolina.
That pissed me off.
We got Chinese mosquito drones. We've got cloned dire wolves. Some people are working on bringing back the saber-toothed tiger. So you got to be careful.
Again, I'm just like, why?
I agree.
Like, who
I agree.
cares?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
sorry.
bring back the
People.
woolly
I-
mammoth.
I know.
About the dire wolves. Everyone was
not.
acting like that was like so cool. Like,
No, it's
who
not.
cares?
It's not cool. They're not really dire wolves either. They're gray wolves
I
that
thought
just
it was.
look.
I thought it was that cool. It was,
It's not even
little-
scary.
that was a little cool.
I'm not even
I-
saying it's not
Yeah.
cool because I'm like scared. It's just like this is just like a bunch of nerds that got way too much power and way too much money.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is what they're spending their time doing.
Yeah, I agree. It's the PayPal mafia, but the ones that are now
Seriously,
creating dire
these
wolves and
nerds
your
are
tax
tigers.
dollars
incorrigible.
hard at work,
Yes.
Mary. And
Yep.
on top of that, we had the dolphin
I knew you were gonna bring it up.
situation
I knew you
while
were
we're
gonna-
talking about
I was going to try
senseless
to be
money.
a gentleman with a lady in the room, but now you're bringing up.
What's the
This
dolphin
lady
situation?
was
that they're
jerking off
raping
dolphins.
people?
Well, that does happen, but no, they're.
This
You
lady
go
was
for
this
it.
lady was jerking off dolphins on our tax time.
In the 60s, they were giving dolphins
Real.
acid. The guy who created the deprivation tank was also giving dolphins acid in Florida.
The dolphin fell in love with the trainer, and the trainer started to please the dolphin sexually.
Yep. I was trying to be.
Of
I
her
was
own
trying to be a
volition.
gentleman.
Of her own volition. And eventually, when
For
the
free.
lady
She worked
stopped,
for free.
she worked for free apparently, pro bono. No pun
Oh,
intended
my
again.
goodness.
Bing, bing,
Guys.
bing. He gets it again.
See what happens at 12:12.
She stopped. Okay, she stopped working with this dolphin apparently, and the dolphin got so depressed that it sank to the bottom of the tank and drowned itself.
Seriously,
Okay.
that's what happened.
But it was on ecstasy?
Acid.
Acid.
She was giving it.
They all were.
Acid.
All the dolphins were getting acid.
She was giving.
I don't know how
the
regular the
dolphins
diet
acid.
was, but
okay.
yes.
Well, that makes sense because people talk about like doing ecstasy as a party drug, and they don't
Yeah.
realize that it's going to send them into very deep depressive episodes. So I'm sure
Yep.
that would have the same
Yep.
effect on the dolphins.
Flipper
but
also killed
dolphins
himself.
do rape people
They do.
sober.
Yes, they
Stone
do.
cold
No,
sober.
it's true.
They
It's
rape
true.
people.
That's
That's
why-
I think 14. I just made this up.
No.
14 people
No, that's right. That's right.
per year
Yeah.
die as a result
Yeah,
of dolphins.
I think they changed that number. It's
Really?
higher now. In
It's
Chicago,
higher.
it's really bad. The dolphin murders in Chicago are terrible. Have you not seen that? You're from Chicago. You should know.
I've seen
On the
one
concrete beaches.
dolphin like once in my life, and it wasn't in Chicago.
What? No, that's why I don't go swimming anywhere.
I'm afraid
Ever.
of the ocean. I'm not
As
afraid
you
of space.
should
I'm
be.
afraid of the ocean.
Well,
I've
space
almost
is fake.
drowned in Lake Michigan before, and the last thing on my mind was, oh, fuck, I'm going to get killed by a dolphin in here. That was not what I was worried about.
Flipper
at all.
was a psyop to make people think it was cute, but Flipper also killed himself, just like that other dolphin. I swear, that is verified fact.
Dolphins are not cute, by the way.
Not cute. They're
ugly.
it was like a weird thing because the killer whales aren't that killer. It's the dolphins that are killer.
Well, the killer whales.
Orcas are assholes.
Yeah,
Because
dolphins are really
so
rad.
the thing about killer whales is that they play games with their prey. Have you ever seen them just tossing around a sea lion for fun?
they do.
Like they're just throwing the thing around.
Yeah.
They could just eat the damn thing. It's not that
Yeah.
big. It's a mouthful, not even to them.
It is
right?
fun, though.
And they just bludgeon and beat the shit out of these things like they're
true.
beach balls glorified,
You
and
don't-
then they eat them.
Maybe
after
the sea
they
lion
murder them.
deserved it. You don't know what it did.
I mean,
gonna experiment.
that's sure, Shane. That's a fair assessment.
We're going to experiment now. We're going to destroy
That's
it.
completely
It's
fair.
just like not fair what they did to Shamu.
That was brutal. Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah. I do like free
I don't think it
willing.
was fair what they did to Harambe.
Well,
They
nothing's
didn't
been
do
the same.
anything to Harambe. I'm
They
gonna
shot
say it.
him dead.
No, I'm gonna say it.
They murdered that gorilla
Okay,
in cold blood.
the parents just weren't watching their kid, and he
Well,
went in there.
That's a fair assessment. The parents should have been watching.
It's not
that kid.
Harambe's fault.
Yeah, but it's humans over animals every time. Like you got to kill the animal,
Which I
that's
think
about to kill the
sucks.
kid.
I think that sucks.
Yeah.
We're all here existing, okay?
But we're existing more.
right. We have precedence. We've placed ourselves at the top of the food chain.
God put us there.
And now
Yeah.
everything underneath us is it's
Sucks.
okay to be farmed and murdered as long as you're not human.
Are you vegan?
No.
Okay, well then you're hypocritical for saying that.
Okay, sure. I like meat.
like, fine.
But
But
like how they're farming the seas in like China, the way that they're whaling and doing all of that, they're pulling an excessive amount of wildlife out of the oceans and just killing it in droves.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
bad.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Farming and stuff like that, sure, why not? We don't eat without it, right? And yes, I'm definitely a carnivore. I love my steaks sometimes. But I don't, think that we should be murdering shit in massive droves and wiping out entire species. There's a difference when it comes to farming here because we're actually breeding these animals and attributing to the population that we're also destroying. They're not putting any wildlife back in the seas.
And the ones that are putting back are genetically modified freaks of nature, like the salmon that break out of their farms that have been modified.
Not to mention the shit they're dumping in the ocean, which is also modifying some
Right.
of these, poor
Big time.
creatures. But
I just remember the RFK whale story.
The decapitation story.
I never even looked into it.
Yeah. It depends who you ask.
I didn't know RFK had a whale story.
They said
it's
the story
weird.
was he decapitated a whale. I don't know
There's also
why.
a bear.
The bear stories for sure did happen.
But the bear story was like, I'm so quirky. I had a bear.
Stupid.
There's no proof that it ever happened. What, he dumped a bear's carcass in Central Park?
Yep.
And that got no news coverage.
Made it
There
look like it
no
was a hit and
surveillance
run.
footage.
He made it look like it was hit by a bike or something.
That's so not real.
He brought
That's
the
not
bear.
bear.
He brought the bear carcass back, and then
no one saw
discarded it.
him
This is
hustling a bear into
like
Central
20 or
Park.
30
That's why
years
I'm
ago.
not buying the story.
Yeah. I don't know. If you sound like that, I'll believe it. He's got a weird voice. I don't trust. It is getting better though. Did you see the
It
Bill
is.
Gates butter?
Yeah. It's like made of carbon?
Not having it. Brandon, you eating Bill
Oh,
Gates
no.
butter?
No.
Bill Gates butter.
Bill Gates butter, made by Savor. That's what it's called. Tastes just like
It's
butter,
kind of
they
like
say.
I can't believe it's not butter
Yeah,
situation.
but this is
You
literally...
won't need butter and you won't want butter when you try.
I can't believe it's
exactly.
not blocking out
You're
the
going to
sun.
have a job for them now. Mary just got hired by Savor, that commercial of hers. And they're also doing lab grown. What was the other thing I saw? Some sort of new meat they're making. I mean, Bill Gates is just a mess.
When you try Savor, you'll be repulsed by real butter.
There we go. There we go. And that's how we are sponsored, guys, by Bill Gates. Thank you to Bill Gates for always sponsoring every episode that we do. I could keep going on and on. Mary, this was a pleasure. Please, I'm sure everyone knows where to find you, but say it anyway.
Yeah, you can find me on Pop Culture Crisis. We go live every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived. You can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And you can help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Brandon, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can find me, as always, at Brando Inverted on Insta and on Twix. Thank you very much to Rick Hansen. Thank you to Mary Morgan for being here. We appreciate you guys. Thank you to our callers who called in tonight. Again, as always, I got the names of everybody written down that we didn't get to tonight. Feel free to call back during the week. I will try to prioritize you guys on the list, and we'll hopefully be able to get some more callers tomorrow. In the meantime, thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, share the show with everybody you know, and don't forget to stay weird. Shane, get us out of here.
I know most of you probably already know about Pop Culture Crisis, but if you don't, you should check it out. It's a great show. I'm so glad you brought up the Taylor Swift Anton LaVey story, which is exactly what I was hoping Mary would do. Thank you so much for being here. This was awesome. Thank you to Rick for being here. A lot of fun, and we'll get some more callers tomorrow and many, many stories, including a giant UFO beneath a building in Nebraska. Have a great night, everybody. See you later.